Now the 2-0. Caglione sends a high drive deep down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone. It is fair. It is gone. That was absolutely blasted to right field.
He is a special talent. Caglione puts a charge into one deep to right. And Jack Caglione, for the third time this week, has homered. He just continues to be on a tear in his first series at the AAA level.
And Peralta deals. High fly ball. Absolutely crushed to right field. Jack Caglione is inevitable.
Caglione flies this to right on a laser. Going back is Cavadas, and it's gone. He's homered for a fifth time this week.
All right, a Monday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson hanging out with us. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours we've got you. We will talk a lot of baseball today. Some college baseball, a lot of Major League Baseball, some minor league baseball along the way. Some I-70 series we'll get into, the extra intrigue around certainly Royals fans, but the rest of the country as well. The rest of Major League Baseball fans, I should say, with the intrigue, with the Jack Caglione making his debut tomorrow night. We will certainly get into all of that. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show, 913-912-4810 if you want to join us. We are hanging out today at Oakwood Country Club because of the Trent Green Golf Classic. And we get an opportunity to be out here every year at the Golf Classic. It's awesome stuff. It's for a great cause. Trent Green and his family, since they moved here to be a part of the Kansas City Chiefs, and then residing in Kansas City and putting down roots and staying here after his career is over and continuing to give back to the community. And one of those charities that has been a beneficiary of Trent Green's philanthropic nature and the Green family has been the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. And this is yet another year of this Golf Classic that goes to support the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. And since 1981, they have provided comfort and care to more than 107,000 families have the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. You can check it out, rmhckc.org, rmhckc.org. The Ronald McDonald House Charities gives a family with a sick child what they need most, which is each other and time and everything, supportive services, the things you would want if you are dealing with what has to be one of the worst things to happen to a family and a parent is a child that is sick and there's not much you can do about it. You're relying on doctors and prayer and things like that, and certainly the Ronald McDonald House Charity steps in some of that stress away from the financial burden that may be put on families. So just a great cause that Trent Green and his family have adopted a long time ago and continue to support. And Oakwood Country Club is where we are at today. An absolutely beautiful day. I mean, you want to talk about having a golf tournament and wanting the perfect weather. I think they have it today. It is absolutely fantastic. And I am not much of a golfer, but a day like this is where it's like, you know what? I'd love to be out there and playing golf. I don't even care how bad I am. It's just the best weather is when you don't know what the weather is. You just walk outside and you're just existing in it, and it's like, oh, I'm too hot, I'm too cold, right? It's got a cold wind, or the sun is just cooking you. You walk outside and it's just like, oh, this is nice. This is enjoyable. I don't even know weather. It's just, it's like Paul Rudd in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. The weather outside is weather. And that's what today is. It's just you walk outside, you don't even care what the weather is. You don't even notice it because it's so gorgeous.
It's such good weather that as a golfer who loves to make excuses, I couldn't even make an excuse today. There's nothing I could say. What happened to you? Well, it was raining, or it was windy, or it was cold, or I was too hot, too sweaty.
Too high. It's too hard.
Today it's gorgeous. It is perfect. The course looks to be in phenomenal condition. I was telling you, Jason, never played here. I've always wanted to play Oakwood. It just every time we come out here, it is just glorious. We have a lovely pool we're looking at, too. Makes me really want to take a dip later on.
You go ahead and
as
do
the
that.
sun. I'll go tarps off and do it because we have a reason to do it because we're
Boy,
excited.
Boy, Dylan, you surprised that he just offered that up in the first few minutes of the show. Hey, guys, you want me to take my shirt off?
I'm only shocked at how long that took to get into the show.
That's a good point.
More so, not
I mean,
really that it happened. So
he's like the Matthew McConaughey of this show. That's probably a good idea to go ahead and take my shirt off.
There's nothing wrong with getting your bronze on, okay?
Cool.
There's nothing wrong with
We've
that.
been at church for about an hour now. Probably a good idea to go and take my shirt off. It's sterling when it comes to any particular reason, but a gorgeous day. And you know what? It is clear skies, and the Royals may have lost the series, but just a great idea from J.J. Piccolo in the front office to come off a series against the Tigers when you score one run over the weekend. You are now 2-5 against the Tigers on the season. That is rough. They are, by a lot of different power rankings, number one. They've got the best record in baseball. The Royals are 8 games behind the Tigers. They had an opportunity that was there for them to sweep this series. I did not walk away from the series going, good God, the Royals have no chance against the Tigers. I walked away from the series going, man, this Royals offense is so bad, continues to be so bad, and it is costing them games and opportunities to be somewhat in a position of what the Tigers are in because their pitching staff has been absolutely brilliant. And what's so remarkable about this weekend and what took place actually on the field, and we'll get into what took place off the field with the move that was made officially today but was made last night. Skubal, Waka, and Bubic combined for 21 innings pitched. They allowed 1 run on 7 hits, 22 strikeouts, 3 walks, and the decision was a combined 0-1.
Man.
Pitcher wins are a great stat of judging how good a pitcher is. Pitcher wins are awesome. It's a really, really cool stat, I would say, that those 3 pitchers combined to go 0-1 because one of them gave up 1 run on a day where their team scored 0, and the other 2 got no decisions while going toe-to-toe back and forth, giving up 0 earned runs. Nary a run scored on
should have
either
pitched better. He should have. That's why the NL
should have given up a -1.
The Royals right now need the old NL rules because, well, there's no Greinke anymore, but at least they have a chance to help themselves out. They know their offense isn't.
That's true, yeah. Well, the Royals, maybe they should try batting a pitcher for their right fielder. Maybe that would be better. Maybe just
Lorenzen.
The pitchers.
Lorenzen used to rake a little bit.
Put Lorenzen in to instead of the right fielder batting, you just have Lorenzen bat for them. That would be fantastic. 913-912-4810. Obviously, the big news of the weekend happened last night just after 9 o'clock when the Jeff Passan tweet goes out that the Royals have made the decision. They are promoting and they are calling up Jack Caglione. And let me tell you, when I saw that news, you know what I was, Sterling? Jack Johnson, you know what I was?
Exactly that.
Dylan, you know what I was? I think we all are pretty jacked up with the fact that Jack Caglione is heading to the big leagues and will be all assuming he will be making his major league debut tomorrow in St. Louis. So let's talk about that. Obviously, we talk about being jacked up. Jack is back at the studio. He doesn't get to enjoy this beautiful day, so we'll give him first dibs on weighing in on Jack Caglione being called up to the big leagues. Jack with a K. Hopefully there are not many Jack with a K in his time with the Royals coming up. There will be plenty of those because, he's a free swinger. But Jack Johnson, your initial reaction and the excitement level and where you find yourself today coming off what ended up being a disappointing series, not disaster against the Tigers getting swept, a disappointing series that it feels like the Royals are maybe turning the page to the next era of Royals baseball.
Well, you're exactly right, first off, that I can't enjoy the nice weather because if I leave this door open, that turkey vulture might get in here. So I'm keeping everything closed, and I'll stay here in the AC. But
good call.
Yeah,
Good call.
you talk about a Sunday night news dump at 9 p.m. that we get word of Jack Caglione getting promoted. I was truly floored. Number one being it's a road trip. I was always picturing that Jack Caglione's big league debut would be at Kauffman Stadium in front of a massive crowd, and that would be the way to introduce him to everyone here. I mean, everybody's been following him, but to truly see him at Kauffman Stadium in full effect. The reality is they're kind of running out of options at the big league level. I mean, you couldn't really go through another series where the offense just didn't do anything, and you were sitting on your hands going, well, I mean, we can try to wait around for guys to catch fire and go on a bit of a roll, but we're 60 games in now. You still have 102 of these to go, but you're now 8 games back of Detroit. You're 2 games out of the top wild card spot. It's very bunched up in the American League. Mm-hmm. You're out of options, though, of guys you can pull from Omaha to give you that spark. You called up John Rave. You called up Nick Lofton. You released Hunter Renfroe. You sent Kevin Biggio down to the minor leagues. The last option was Cam Devaney. And for those out there that wanted to see a trade, I've said this before, so I sound like a broken record. It takes 2 teams to trade. So you can be as aggressive as you want, but it also takes that other team wanting to sell and sell this early. If they know you're this desperate now, they sure as hell know you're going to be desperate in late July when you're trying to acquire a player up against the deadline. So it was either Cam Devaney, who knows, could still get called up at some point soon and get replaced or replace Michael Massey. The game-changing bat, though, there was only one option, and that was Jack Caglione. And what I do chuckle at a little bit, I remember when Caglione had that media availability in Omaha, and he was asked about, when the timeline's going to be, and he said the front office was very open, and they told me about a plan, and I'm going, did they tell you were going to be there for a week? Like, hey, don't get too comfortable. Just get a hotel for a few nights because you're going to be in Kansas City like next week or in 2 weeks. That to me is very surprising, but damn, did he earn it. He didn't need to stay down there long, and in the perfect world, he gets to come up when the offense is averaging 5 runs a game, but it was either that or it was going to be this, and I hate to make him the savior, but you need an impact bat that can put one over the fence.
Sterling?
Save us, Jack Caglione. You're our only hope.
Save us, Jack Caglione, one Kenobi?
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Man, I am thrilled. I am thrilled. I was so far in the camp originally of you let him wait, let him get seasoned, let him figure it out, go through a slump or two so we know what he's like, how he knows how and understands how to work through it. But the offense was just so bad, and at some point I go, I don't give a hoot nor a holler. Figure it out in the majors because right now what he is doing in the minors, even if it's 50%, it is far and away better than anything that's happening right now in the outfield outside of Kyle Isbell. Okay? So I'm sitting here going, even if he struggles, let's say it is just super, super horrendous. Okay? Let's say worst case scenario. Okay, you send him back down. The Royals have a track record of this already of sitting guys back down. They figure then they call them back up. Alex Gordon comes to mind. Mike Moustakas comes to mind. Right? There's a plethora of guys. Zach Greinke ended up becoming a Hall of Famer after he got called up too early, struggled, and then figured it out, right? So why can't Jack Caglione at least try? Because that's worst case scenario. What about best case scenario? Why are we always so negative? Let's be positive here. Jack Caglione might come up and just absolutely rake. Okay? Yes, I understand the offense is struggling, but he's behind Bobby Witt Jr. at least, okay? At least you have Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Garcia's hitting. My concern, dude, is that I'm going to the Royals-Cardinals game on Thursday, and they're throwing a lefty out there, my guys. This is my concern, dude, because he might sit lefty-lefty matchup.
You know what? That sounds like you play Tuesday, Wednesday, you give him the day off on Thursday for Jack Caglione.
That's what it sounds like.
Sorry, dude.
And it sounds like maybe he's going to hit a pinch hit, walk-off home run. I don't know. It could be. In my Dinkler 85 jersey that I'll be wearing in St. Louis to try and stick it to him.
Love it.
But, yes, this is what the Royals need. They needed to shake things up. They have to, and you're right, Jack. The only other guy you're really talking about is Cam Devaney, which I like Cam Devaney, but that's more second base for Michael Mass than anything else. If you need an outfielder and you need an impact bat now, at least the threat of power, the threat of a home run, the Royals' offense and slug, we've talked about it ad nauseum, is just so bad. They had 9 hits, 1 extra base hit, 0 runs. You know why? Because 8 damn singles. You got to have some sort of slug. Jack can do that.
I thought it was interesting when you mentioned Cam Devaney in that the options, both literally and figuratively, for the Royals when they bring up Jack Caglione to make a corresponding roster move. I was wondering if you're bringing up Jack Caglione, that's going to play right field, first base, DH, they'll figure out some way for his bat more times than not, certainly to be in the lineup along with Vinny and Salvi that'll play pretty much every day. So how do you do that? And then you still have John Rave on the team if that is not the move. Andrew Waters out there. What about India and Massey? Michael Garcia, you start to run into a jumbled sort of mix of where different guys can go. Not that it's like, well, you got to find a spot for this guy in the lineup. Really, it's Michael Garcia is the one out of that mix where you're like, well, Michael Garcia needs to play every day. He had the thumb soreness or the finger soreness, whatever it was, that kept him out of the lineup yesterday. They did not go with an IL stint for Michael Garcia, at least right now, as the move for Jack Caglione. It was for Dairon Blanco. But I did wonder if they would have gone, you're bringing up an outfielder. Yes, I know Dairon Blanco plays outfield. There was a part of me that wondered if Michael Massey would be the guy that would get the trip back to Omaha, and then Jonathan India plays second base every day, good, bad, or indifferent. I'd like to be more indifferent about his second base, but it's been more bad than good. And then Drew Waters in left field, center field being Kyle Isbell, right field being Jack Caglione or John Rave, and so you would go that route. India certainly could play left field if need be, right? Garcia could play second base. You can do some of those things.
And Lofton, too, is kind of a
right. Lofton is there.
Positions.
So the fact that they, sent Dairon Blanco down, I thought was pretty interesting because you have India that can play out there. You've got Lofton and Waters and Isbell and Rave and Jack Caglione in the outfield. I get it. Blanco's an outfielder, you move him on, and you bring up Jack Caglione. But who takes the role of Dairon Blanco, which is, very rarely or seldom playing? I don't know. Massey is mightily struggling, and it would make sense if he were to be sent down for a stint to kind of figure some things out and get the bat going again to then bring him up, hopefully when he starts hitting at a higher clip, and then you can get that guy going again with your offense because he was supposed to be a part of this team as to why they could win the Central. It wasn't supposed to be this guy who was one of the worst qualified hitters in baseball who was your DH over the weekend. Like, that's a massive difference. If Jack Caglione is DHing in a day, or Vinny or Salvi as a DH, Salvi not much better, but, certainly better than Michael Massey, as opposed to Massey being a DH, it is a huge difference in having him on the team. And go ahead.
I was going to say, and by the way, I thought of this right here. Yes, it's somewhat selfish, but also it's a legit thought process here. I wanted to look at what Jack has done against left-handed pitchers. He's faced it's not like and again, it's the minor leagues, of course, but still.
You don't want to send him against lefties in the minor leagues.
He's hitting 303, 368, 561 slash line for 929 OPS. Against righties, it's 1,000.8.
Yeah,
so, it's not like a drastic drop-off. So, I wonder if he will still face lefties in the majors because
I'd be perfectly fine until you find out that he can't.
Yes.
They wanted to throw Zerpa and Sam Long out there, certainly early in the season. It's like, well, we're going to keep throwing them out there, and they kept proving that they weren't ready for that spot or continuing what they did last year, and then eventually going, okay, well, they have not shown me that they can do that. I've got to move them out of that spot. I hope that this year it's I'll let Jack Caglione prove it that he can't hit a lefty at the big leagues rather than assuming he can't and sitting him and moving him out of the lineup. Massey's proven it. Isbell at times, proven it.
Yes.
Other guys that are left-handed hitters, proven it. Vinny slides down to number 7 in the order when you go up against a tough lefty like Skubal. So we've seen that happen. I do wonder, Jack, you brought up the point being surprised that it isn't a home game. And I had pointed to June 24th mainly because it was my birthday. I thought that would be cool. I'm glad that they didn't wait that long and they saw what was happening. I also don't think they would have just rushed Jack Caglione to the big leagues just because the offense is struggling, because that's a good way to be, the offense is struggling, so let's bring a guy up that we don't feel is truly ready. How's that going to help the offense if we don't think he's truly ready to help? at the big league level. That's just a name and throwing, that's hope as a strategy. That, well, he's not ready, but let's hope he figures it out at the big league level. So I don't think that's the case. But having this debut in St. Louis, it feels like a restaurant soft open. For friends and family, you're training everybody. The restaurant's open for a few days, and the staff, the servers, the cooks, everything, those bussing the table, everybody gets sort of it figured out with the quote-unquote soft open before the main event. Kind of feels like that's what this may be, that it's the timing coming off that Tigers series. They have a day off. They feel like he's done everything he can do at AAA, even in only 12 games that he's played in AAA. They felt like he has exhausted what he can do to prove that he's ready to go at the big league level. And if it's on the road, it's on the road, and therefore he doesn't come up to the plate in the first or second inning, depending on where he's batting in the lineup, to a standing ovation. I think Royals fans in attendance tomorrow will probably be standing when he comes up to the plate, when he carries his huge lumberjack, tree trunk bat to the and his tree trunk legs. Ooh, yeah, he's a lumberjack. Let's go with that one too.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Lumberjack.
TM.
Yeah,
that's
trademark. How about that? There's the
take that Einstein.
There's the nickname for him, the lumberjack.
Yeah, I like this.
So you got the Pasquatch, you got Bobby Baseball. Now you got lumberjack.
I feel like, though, I said it first, so I do feel like I should be able to.
What do you mean you said it first? I literally said
but you didn't
carries up to the lumberjack
in
his huge tree trunk.
Dylan, let it be known, Jack, let it be known that he did not understand that reference, and that I had to. He said it, but it was a complete accident.
Let's go back and listen to that tape, because I said it, and then Sterling was like, "Ooh, lumberjack," and I said, "Ooh, that can be the nickname." You didn't say that's a good nickname for Jack. That could be the nickname. I'm going to go ahead and take credit for this and the jacked up, so that's 2 for 2 here on that one.
No, I'm tweeting
Just
it.
what
I'm
going.
tweeting it. TM.
You can't.
TM.
You can't do that.
I'm doing it.
That's fine. You can cheat if you want to, because I'm talking and you don't have to talk, so you can go and tweet. That's fine. We all know the reality of that, so no big deal. And so, actually, I've already got it copyrighted, so sorry about that.
I've TM'd it.
Yeah, no, you haven't.
Like my Honolulu Hot Lips pizza.
I did. I'm
TM.
working on Taco Tuesday right now, so I'm going to get that figured out. Once I'm done with that, I'm going with the lumberjack. But I think it could be sort of that soft open, right? And goes on the road for a little bit, and then is ready to go next week in a home game against, I don't know, some scrappy little upstart ball club. Is it a good team that they're going up against next week? I'm not sure. I can't really. Maybe the Newark Yankees, something like that, that they'll be facing in his first home game for Jack Caglione. Let's take a timeout, come back. Let's talk about Jack Caglione on the other side of the break as he gets called up to the big leagues. Did the Royals explore a trade? I don't know. Not for Jack, but for other bats, and that's why they end up calling Jack Caglione. They prove yet again, they have shown with John Sherman that they are not going to, quote-unquote, cheap out and pinch pennies along the way. We'll explain that as well. And whether you like it or not, we will look at just how awful, just how bad right field has been for the Royals this year and what Jack Caglione is stepping into. And when we say, well, what if he struggles? Well, what if he's better than what the Royals right fielders have been doing this year? And let me tell you, if he walks up there and takes a sword and tries to swing at the ball with a sword, I think he might be able to produce more. He could take a pool noodle up there, and I think there's a chance he might be able to produce more than what the right fielders have been doing.
And we will also take a look at what Michael Lorenzen's career OPS is and where it lands on this Royals current team.
That's right, 913-912-4810, as I have dubbed it, the Lumberjack. He will make his debut tomorrow in St. Louis. We're all jacked up and ready to go for Jack Caglione. The Royals hopefully have landed that jackpot, and they will be having a 40-home run hitter adding to their lineup. We'll also write down and go on record, the four of us, so be thinking about this in the break. How many home runs for Jack Caglione at the end of the season? When the season wraps up, how many home runs does Jack Caglione have? We'll get into that as well. We will talk today how the show lines up We'll talk with Joel Penfield coming up at noon. We'll catch up with Max Reaper at some point today. We'll figure out how that works out. Trent Green is going to stop by at some point today, as well as, we're out here at Oakwood Country Club for the Trent Green Golf Classic that supports Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. And at 11:30, we're going to talk with Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance, a guy that we wanted to talk to for a couple of weeks. It just so happens to be that Jack Caglione is making his debut and called up tomorrow night. But we'll talk some pitching. We'll talk some player development overall. Certainly he'd have a pretty decent idea of the development of Jack Caglione, but Chris Bubich goes out there and does what he does and is on a historic pace this year. And the development of Chris Bubich, the development of some of these pitchers along the way, Noah Cameron, Daniel Lynch in the bullpen. We'll talk about the man who was moved to the senior director of pitching performance and revamping the entire development system of the Royals in the minor leagues and the pitching, and what has been a stark contrast to players coming up and having success versus players in the minor leagues, what felt like just sort of toiling away and their careers not really meeting what could be the best version of themselves. We'll take a time out. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. Oakwood Country Club, where we are hanging out today. It is the Trent Green Golf Classic. Just an absolutely gorgeous day. Clear skies, just a few little cotton candy clouds there mixed in, but a beautiful day for the Trent Green Golf Classic. We'll catch up with Trent Green here at some point in the show, and all of the proceeds go to support the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, and just a fantastic organization that keeps families close to their sick children while they get the care and supportive services that they need. If you hear the wind, that's the wind of change coming in for Kansas City and the offense, hopefully. That's what that is. Guys, the reputation that the Royals have had for a while, certainly with the Glass family. Mind you, the Glass family and David Glass oversaw this Royals team winning a World Series. Hiring Dayton Moore, it took a while, but eventually the mountain was climbed, and those flags are out there flying forever. But there has certainly been the understanding, it's not just a reputation, it was reality of not spending much money, if at all. Now, the payroll increased as they became better and better, so they were willing to do that, which was nice. This is another example of what we've seen this Royals team do with not pinching pennies. And I do want to give credit where credit is due. Look, a couple of off seasons ago, J.J. Piccolo said, we're not going to go out and spend money for spending money's sake. I believe that was the 2022 offseason into 2023. And it was an evaluation season in 2023, as they called it. And it was, well, yeah, we can go and spend money, but what's the point of just going out and spending money if we don't know where we need to utilize and allocate our resources that we have? We don't have the Yes Network. We don't have the $70 million every year coming in local TV revenue that we don't have to give out in revenue sharing. We don't have that. So we've got to make sure that we spend correctly. And so when that took place, there was the, wow, John Sherman is cheap. He's not willing to spend money. J.J. Piccolo's making an excuse for John Sherman not wanting to spend money. And then what they did in the offseason of 2023 to 2024, they sign Waka, they sign Lugo, they sign Hunter Renfroe, good, bad, or indifferent. They go out and get Will Smith and Nick Stratton and all of these different players to go and revamp trading for Schreiber, and the different moves that they made that they were going to have to spend a little bit more money. They did that. They also DFA'd Hunter Renfroe, or a Hunter Dozier, and that was a lot of money that they had to eat.
Name a Hunter.
Name any Hunter that's been DFA'd. Goodwill Hunter. Dang it. No, wrong. It was right there. It's an easy one. Any Hunter. Hunter Renfroe, the football player. Dang it, got that wrong again.
Hunter Harvey, no, he's just on the injured list still.
Yes, dang it, that's a good point. He's also not playing right now for different reasons. But they DFA Hunter Dozier. Okay, they have to eat that money. They could have very easily said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're going to get something out of this, some odd $17 million they ended up paying Hunter Dozier after DFAing him. They DFA Hunter Renfroe last week, or the week before, whenever it was. And they're going to pay him $4 million the rest of the year to do nothing, which is what he was doing with the Royals anyway, so you might as well have a spot open. So they're going to eat that money. And by calling up Jack Caglione, they don't avoid Super 2 status. There is extra money. We're not talking about, well, you wait a couple, 3 weeks for them to make sure you keep that extra year of service time. Okay, well, they've already passed that. That wasn't the case. He wasn't going to start he had played a minimal number of games in the minor leagues, and quite frankly, he wasn't all that good in the minor leagues last year, his first year of pro ball. And then he goes to spring training, and he's killing it. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but let's actually see him in AA and AAA. And he has busted the door down, all right? He's kicked it open. But they could have waited. Jack, do you have an idea? Because I don't. I'm not saying this for you guys to guess. I don't. How close do you think we were to Super 2 status being eclipsed to where he wouldn't be a Super 2? Which means if you're scoring at home, they still have 6 years of control after this year for Jack Caglione, but it's 4 years of arbitration and not 3. They'll have 2 years of league minimum, and what is without Super 2, 3 years of league minimum, 3 years of arbitration. This is now going to be 2 years of league minimum, 4 years of arbitration. Bobby Witt was a Super 2 because he started the big leagues he broke camp with the big leagues. That wasn't going to be avoided. There was no way they were going to wait that long for him, so that's not a big deal. This is one, Jack, where I think they were getting close, right? If it was like another 2-3 weeks, they might have avoided Super 2 status with Jack Caglione. But they need the help right now. They feel like he's ready right now. They aren't pinching pennies to save a little bit of cash in a couple of years when he'll be up for arbitration the first year.
Yeah, they were getting close, but in my opinion, the way you should evaluate things like this is if you believe the player's good enough, if you believe they're going to be a star, it shouldn't matter when you call them up then. That's the way you should view your top prospects. It's different if you feel that, well, we believe in him, but we're not sure, and we also are a small market team, and we're not going to be able to keep him if he does reach that status. But for the Royals, they showed with Bobby Witt Jr. They were not afraid to give him that type of money, and from the day he was drafted, they knew he was going to be a franchise piece. I feel they view Jack Caglione the same way. Now, what would a contract look like? Not quite sure yet. He's never had his, first big league at bat. That'll have to wait until tomorrow night in St. Louis. But that's the way the Royals have operated now the last handful of years, at least under John Sherman, under J.J. Piccolo. It's not about trying to manipulate anything there. It's if the guy's ready. And look, back in spring training when J.J. Piccolo spoke to the media, he said, we're not going to rush him. The first thing he's got to do is hit. And if he can hit, we'll move him through the system. We'll get him to AAA. And then if he hits there, we'll get him to the big leagues. Did we expect it to be June 1st? We didn't. And I believe everyone would have called you crazy if you would have said June 1st is when he's getting called up to the big leagues after, 45 minor league games this season? I mean, it was absurd how quickly he moved up. But the Royals need him, and they need him now. They couldn't wait any longer. And even if there are some struggles early on, which I expect there to be, that it would be pretty ridiculous if he comes up and hits 10 home runs in the first 15, 20 games and he's not having any issues. There's going to be some growing pains there, but it's worth it. And it wasn't, maybe worth it to the Royals to wait another week and go on this road trip and struggle in St. Louis. And worst case scenario, you struggle in Chicago against the White Sox and the offense can't find anything or can't get anything going in those 3 games. This gives you a little bit of a spark. I also believe instead of, doing this at home and waiting for Jack to have his debut against the Yankees or the Rays, this makes a lot of sense, too, with it being the I-70 series and Royals fans traveling to St. Louis and getting a lot of blue in the stands. This was like the second best option if you weren't going to do it at home. But that would be the only thing I would say they tried to manipulate of, well, if we call them up on the road, let's wait until they go to St. Louis. Let's not do it in Chicago. This would be the time to do it. And as I said in the first segment, he earned it. He was damn good in AA, and he was arguably even better in AAA and showed that he was no match for that level.
Yeah, this is – I just think I'm with you completely and totally. If a guy's ready, he's ready. But we have lived in a world where I do think there's a time when the Royals would have said he's ready, but we're not ready to spend another $5 or $6 million in a couple of years on arbitration. We're not ready to spend that as opposed to league minimum $800,000. We don't want to give them $5 million in year 3 as opposed to $800,000. That $5 million can go to somebody else if we just waited 3 weeks longer. So you know what? We'll bite the bullet. We'll wait 3 weeks longer, hopefully stay afloat, tread water, then bring them up, and now we've saved $5 million. As opposed to the move here, I do think should be acknowledged that they will not avoid Super 2 status with Jack Caglione. They will have to pay extra money. Hopefully, Sterling, Jack, Dylan, it won't matter because it didn't matter that Bobby Witt Jr. was a Super 2 player. It didn't matter because they paid him that contract extension. Hopefully, it'll be the same thing with Jack Caglione, that it won't matter if he's Super 2 status or not, that they'll pay him a contract extension and he'll sign it and stay long-term with the Royals, and you can build Bobby and Jack Caglione in the lineup every day for the next, 7-8 years.
And I make the point of, yes, I get what you're saying with the money and monetarily, of course, but how many extra tickets does Jack Caglione sell for you? Because if it's an extra,
point.
let's say this might be way too much. Let's say it's an extra 10,000. Right, extra 10,000 a game, which seems probably way too much to do. But it's
over the course of the next of the last part of the season.
Oh, way more than that. But I'm saying per game for a 3-week stretch.
Game.
For a 3-week stretch, which is again probably way too much. If it's $50, $25 a ticket plus parking, That's like $15 million. I just did the math right there. It's $15 million. Again, the math's probably way off, and I'm probably being too aggressive with some of the numbers, but that's just for a 3-week stretch if you were to keep him down for 3 weeks. Let's say it's even less than that. Let's just say he brings you an extra $5 million. Well, there's that $5 million anyways, and you're getting it right here on ticket sales. I get it. It's a little different, all that stuff, but I'm trying to make the point that monetarily that's a drop in the bucket for a lot of these. For a lot of these organizations, and with the way the Royals have been spending, that's less than a Hunter Renfroe. Would you pay that for instead of arbitration for Jack Caglione? I sure would. And that's a risk that I would be willing to take. And by the way, it was so dire. Michael Lorenzen, I was joking about it, would have the third best OPS on this team. I'm not the third best OPS. Yes, the Royals pitcher, who was a little bit of a hitter as well, outfielder for the Reds, has a career 710 OPS. Career. Is a 233 hitter. Career 710 OPS. That is higher than everyone not named Bobby Witt and Michael Garcia. And yes, that's even higher than Vinny this year. Vinny is trending the right way at 705. But that's the whole point. The offense has literally been historically bad that a pitcher, his career OPS would be the third best of anyone on this Royals team.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Let me ask it this way then. Let's flip it around. So we're talking about and giving credit for the Royals that, they're not going to be able to avoid Super 2 status, it looks like. Now, it all depends, like the top 22% of those with service time. So in theory, there's a chance he wouldn't be a Super 2 status depending on other guys, but because he could be, still sent down and things like that. The target date that I'm looking at here is by a few publications have said June 6th. After June 6th is more than likely to avoid Super 2 status. After June 6th. June 3rd is when he will make his debut. Now, it could be that June 3rd is the date that the Royals think it is. So we may backtrack on this, and the Royals might have been looking at it and going, well, you know what? It all works anyway. He was ready to come up. June 3rd is the date we think it'll be the case. Because, again, it's a percentage, not a specific date. Like rookie status is a specific date or days of 45 days, 130 at-bats. Those are very specific and hard line to be a rookie the next year. Super 2 is a little bit different. But let me ask you it this way. If it was June 6th and all they had to do was wait 3 days and have him ready for the Chicago White Sox series on Friday, is that smart business? Like, if it was like June 20th, I'd be like, yeah, bring him up. He's ready to go. But if you're talking about 3 days, could be the difference of $4 million in a couple of years of paying Jack Caglione as opposed to paying another free agent. I do think it's worth, discussing and getting into that part of it, because that would seem somewhat frivolous in these 3 games. Maybe June 3rd is the date they looked at and said, hey, we got there. We're avoiding Super 2 status. But if it is June 6th, you give them credit for not worrying about, an extra millions or whatever. They may feel confident that maybe they can get something done long-term with Jack Caglione, so it doesn't matter. But you also sort of wonder, like, hey, could you have waited 3? Like, if we look back and they pay him $5 million in year 3 as opposed to $800,000, we might be looking back and saying, were those 3 days really worth it?
Well,
for Jack Caglione against the Cardinals?
It comes down to if that's a reason for them to not go out and pay a free agent, or if that's the reason why they don't. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Yeah. What it comes down to, there's no salary cap. Again, I know
there's a luxury tax, Sterling, okay?
Yeah, the Royals
this is a level playing field. Okay, this is a level playing field.
And John Sherman has, I've been on the proponent that I think John Sherman's actually done a really good job taking over this team. I think he's done a really, really nice job. I always understand the sometimes hate that he has received because, no, it's not the Yankees or New York, but I think he's done a really good job overall. If he is okay spending the extra money, and it doesn't hurt the Royals from keeping free agents, but it hasn't in the past, then yes, I'm 100% okay. Then it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's also do this. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Sterling looked at Michael Lorenzen's OPS, and which is great for a number of different reasons. Let's get depressed and actually look at what the Royals right fielders have done this year as a collective compared to the rest of the league, I'll tell you, it isn't good. That's what I came away with, is saying it
Decidedly ungood.
Thank you very much.
Cynthia Freeland.
Yeah. Yes. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling, hanging out at the Trent Green Golf Classic. It is supporting Ronald McDonald Charities of Kansas City. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next.
Route 39. You have a beautiful golf course, a beautiful day, great former athletes, great cause.
We're all jacked up. Michaels, Jack Johnson hanging out with us. Coming up in a half hour from now, we will talk with Paul Gibson, who is the Senior Director of Pitching Performance for the Kansas City Royals, a role that he moved into, 3 or 4 years ago, and he was then placed in charge with revamping the pitching development in the Kansas City Royals system. pretty good. Pretty good, I would say, is the result of what we've seen from that. So we'll talk with Paul Gibson about what the Royals have been doing and they're doing, and, of course, the big news being the bat that is coming up for the Kansas City Royals in Jack Caglione. We are here at the Trent Green Golf Classic at Oakwood Country Club that benefits the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. We'll sit down with Trent Green here at some point throughout the show. We'll also talk with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast, Max Reaper at some point. We got Learn Funniest Best today. A lot of stuff to get into. Still want to talk some men's College World Series, some women's College World Series. There was some interesting things that took place over the weekend. Unfortunately, KU and K-State's seasons both come to an end in the regionals. And so we'll talk some other sorry, Rock Chalk and Emaw, both of them coming to an end. KU couldn't get the bats going in their series, and K-State did win a game, but then ran into Texas, and then Texas ran into UTSA.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. UTSA. I mean, they're just beating up on that satellite school in Austin, huh?
That's what it is. 913-912-4810. It was funny. UTSA put out some sort of a tweet about Texas and winning it, and then somebody replied and said, "You're talking smack on all your alumni that are Texas fans. Your entire alumni base is rooting for Texas. What are you talking about?" All right, so let's get into the ineptitude of this team in right field. All right, let's look at just how bad it's been. Because here's the perspective I want to present. We know that right field has been a black hole for this team on the offensive side. And those corner outfield positions are supposed to be run producers. They are supposed to have some production in the lineup. And that hasn't been the case this year. So when we talk about it from the perspective of, well, what if Jack Caglione comes up and struggles? Okay, well, what if he does? Let's go through what has taken place this year for the Royals. So anybody want to take a guess how many teams there are in Major League Baseball? Just throw a dart. How many teams are in Major League Baseball?
I'll guess here. I'll say 30.
30 is right on. You nailed it. Well done.
Just guessing here.
There are 30 teams in Major League Baseball. You got it. When we look at the batting average for right fielders, these are games that the specific, not somebody that plays right field every day, and it's like, well, Hunter Renfroe is a DH, no, that doesn't count. You have to be playing right field for the Royals to qualify for this. Out of the 30 teams, because you're right, there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball, batting average for the Royals is 29th. Right field, the Royals are batting 183. 183 batting average for somebody that plays right field on any given night. On base percentage, it's 29th. On any given night, the right fielders for the Royals are getting on base at 244. An on-base percentage of 244. Slugging percentage, they are 30th. 30th in slugging percentage. On any given night, the right fielders this season for the Royals have been slugging 243. Let me say that. Their on-base percentage is 244. Their slugging is 243.
That seems literally impossible.
I mean, good night, man. Just get a double from time to time. They are OPSing at 487, which is 30th in all of baseball for right fielders, 487. They combined offensively to have a minus 1.4 WAR. I'm actually surprised it's that high.
Yeah.
A minus 1.4 WAR. Their offensive efficiency is minus 17.3, which is 30th. The WAR, by the way, is 30th as well.
Yeah.
To put that into perspective of the offensive efficiency being 30th at minus 17.3, the leader in Major League Baseball, the Yankees, at plus 32.2. Okay, so that's roughly 50 points difference.
In fairness, that's Aaron Judge.
Agreed.
Who's number 2?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought it was fun just to go with Aaron Judge and what Jack Caglione's going to look like.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
a
that's
better
a good call.
version of Jack. A better version of Judge, right? If you guys haven't seen this, Jack Johnson, Dylan Michaels, Sterling, if you have, that's fine. How many home runs have the Royals right fielders hit this year?
I know the answer, so
Okay.
I don't want to.
Jack Johnson, you know the answer?
Believe it's just one, and wouldn't it be Waters if we're counting him?
Yep, one. Waters played right field and hit a home run when he was actually playing right field. That is 30th. Okay, that's the worst. The second worst, there are 6 teams tied for 29th, if you want to go that route, with 4. Yeah, one gosh darn hit over the wall. 4 is the next closest. 4 home runs from right fielders. That is, those teams are the Nationals, the Guardians, the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Astros, and the Brewers have 4 home runs from their right fielders this year. RBIs total. Now, I know the Royals have this is a new season, so it's not like they've played 60 games so far. Oh, wait, they have played 60 games so far. 31 and 29, 60 games they've played. Their right fielders have combined for 7 RBIs this year. 7 RBIs. Wouldn't you just luck into a few more than that 7, which is 30th, by the way? The next closest,
Oh, man.
is 17.
Yeah.
17 RBIs in 60 games is the next closest. The Royals have 7.
Double-digit more.
They are the only team to have 0 stolen bases from a right fielder this year. So at least they don't have speed on the base paths with that. They rank dead last in soft contact percentage. Almost 25% of every hit in play for the Royals is soft contact from their right fielders.
Wow, because that doesn't include strikeouts. So,
Nope.
of course, yeah, that's
to be put in play. Weighted
strong.
runs created plus from the right fielders, they are 30th in baseball at 35. If you're wondering what the Yankees are doing,
So let me get this
Yankees
straight.
are 210.
Jace, let me get this straight really
Uh-huh.
quick. Okay.
Yep.
So they don't hit for average.
No, they don't.
They at least backed it up by having the fewest home runs, 0 power in the outfield, right?
No power, you're right.
But at least they have something going for them, which is that they are just horrendous on the base pass, maybe the worst in baseball.
Yeah, they don't steal bases in right field.
And well, here's a silver lining.
What's the silver
They're
lining?
also ass in the outfield. So
Not terrible. Their FanGraphs defensive rating is 14th in baseball at minus
Oh,
3.4.
Oh, so only minus 3.4. They're only
Yep.
they're only slightly negative
Yep.
there.
Defensive runs saved, they're 24th at minus 4. in
Oh,
right field.
so they're only
not-
below average.
So it's
there.
not like Manny Ramirez where you're driving in more than you let in. They are letting in more than they're actually driving in. So they are not saving any. They drove in 7. They have they are negative 4 in defensive runs saved. So I guess does that make them plus 3?
So you know how like WAR is like replacement level player. Can we just
yeah.
get the replacement level player? Can we just get like the ghost number where it's like put up zeros?
Isn't that? But isn't that the perspective we need to have when we say struggling? Because what does struggling mean for Jack Caglione? Is it batting 180? Is it slugging 240? Is it getting on base at 244?
Is it not getting stolen bases? Oh, that's normal.
Yeah, is it 1 home run in 60 games? 7 RBIs in 60 games? Like, what's struggling for Jack Caglione? You would expect that it would be better than that. So, if anything, they have improved the ball club. And there was no debate about whether this was going to improve the ball club with Jack Caglione. The debate was, are you focusing so much on 2025 that you're risking Jack Caglione's ability in 2026? And I don't think the Royals would do that because, again, they had every opportunity and possibility that was there to delay this even another week and avoid Super 2 status or potentially Super 2 status. They did not do that. They brought him up because they felt it was ready. That perspective, Jack, do you think we will keep that perspective when we talk about Jack Caglione if there are struggles with him? Because at least we know he's going to run into a few. Like, he's going to run into a few home runs playing right field or DH or first base. It doesn't matter. The team is better with having his bat in the lineup. I don't know what he's going to look like. I don't know what his numbers at the end of the season are going to look like. But even in the lineup makes a difference because if you hang one to Jack Caglione, he's going to send it 450.
Yeah, and that's the reason they made this move. They just don't have anybody in this lineup when they're struggling that at any point in the game can go yard. And it's perfect that yesterday, even as frustrating as it was the game you can point to and say, this is why we need a hitter like him in the lineup. I mean, how many hits in an inning does it take to score a run for this team right now? It takes 3.
4. No, it takes 4 because they had 3 in the first inning, right?
Depends on who's
they had a walk
on first.
They had 2 hits and a walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They had 2 hits and a walk because it was the double walk single.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vinny doubled, then a walk, then a single, but it did not score Vinny. So there you go.
Yeah,
if you had the single and the walk and then the double, you would have got a run.
That'd been nice.
But three, it takes 3 hits to score.
Yeah, and you're just not stringing together enough hits. And until Bobby Witt Jr. can tap back into the power until Salvador Perez can. I mean, their team leader in home runs is Vinny with 8.
Yeah.
Jack Caglione's one good series away from having half of that, it feels like.
Cal Raleigh has 23.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're counting at home.
It's ridiculous the lack of power this team has. And here's how you should look at Jack Caglione. He is going to strike out, and that is always going to be a part of his game. He is not going to be someone that strikes out only 10 to 15% of the time. He's going to have likely a 25 to 30% strikeout clip in this first year. But you take that if he can run into 20 to 25 this year, because that gives you that ability at any given point. Think about the 9th inning yesterday. You had John Rave up, you had Nick Lofton, and you had Michael Massey. None of them were going to tie the game with one swing. Different story when you've got Caglione in the lineup. It takes one mistake, and that ball's going into the party deck. Like, that's just the reality of his game, and we've seen this with college bats. Wyatt Langford, I believe he was still a college teammate at Florida. It would have been maybe his freshman year, but the Rangers said, yeah, he can help us out right now. And we know that playing in the SEC, it's not the big leagues, but I believe it was Hudler yesterday that said this. It's equivalent to high A. Maybe some of the best teams, it's equivalent to playing a bad double-A team, and that's why you were able to progress them pretty quickly. And I've seen the argument of, well, look what happened to Jackson Holliday last year. He started 0 for 28 or 29 in his career. You know what he's doing this year? I know it's a bad Baltimore team, but he's just fine. And he's 2 to 3 years younger than Caglione. We're also fearful that if he struggles at the big league level, it's going to mentally damage him forever. I don't believe that to be the case. He's a confident kid. He also played in 45 minor league games. If he struggles, it's to be expected. He didn't have the typical 1 to 2 years of minor league ball. He barely had any time down there, but he's good enough, and clearly the scouts and the front office members believe he's good enough to help them now. And as you pointed out with the right field stats, how the hell could he do any worse? I mean, those are pitcher numbers in right field. Yeah, he might hit, even if he hits 180, he probably has 5 or 6 home runs, and that's better than what they're getting right now.
So I want to talk about the strikeouts and the swing and miss and the whiffs and things like that, which are expected. And, you know, his first at-bat at AAA in Omaha, after he had that crazy tear of the 5 home runs in 6 games and 5 home runs in 4 games stretch, when he returned to Omaha last Tuesday, so 6 days ago, and his first at-bat was a strikeout. 3 pitches, a couple swings and misses, strike 3 in the dirt, swung over the top of it. Probably a little antsy there with everybody. Had a press conference earlier that day, everybody watching, phones out. The game was on MLB TV that night for free, so even if you didn't have an MLB TV subscription, you could watch that game for free. And since then, he's been just fine. But in talking about players struggling, and when we discussed that maybe the Royals would like to see him struggle at some point in his minor league career to see how he bounces back. And we talked about that 2 for 28 stretch when he was really bad. And he struck out a lot. Essentially 1 out of every 3 times at bat during that stretch he was striking out. He wrapped up Double-A after that stretch by OPSing at 1.1 and batting .390 in his next 25 games. But it was also an 18% strikeout rate and a walk rate of 12%. He gets elevated to AAA. And in his AAA games, he has a 17% strikeout rate and a 9% walk rate. So I don't know if he would be on the big leagues right now. If he got to AAA and in the 12 games, he's at a 30% strikeout rate and a 5% walk rate. And chase rate at 35 or 40% or something like that. I don't think that would be the case. He's been walked a number of times. He got intentionally walked, last week as well, which once they start pitching around him, there's no reason for him to be at AAA. Because if they're going to start pitching around him at AAA, he's not gaining anything.
It tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, he's not gaining anything. But if you look at his AAA numbers, he's got a whiff rate of under 25%, just, fine. But again, the walk rate of almost 9% and the strikeout rate at 16.7%, I mean, that tells me he's ready to go for the big leagues for a guy that is huge, that swings the bat a lot. And we talked about the, swing and miss and strikeouts. Well, and not walking and striking out too. Okay, well, that's fine. Because, again, since that 2 for 28 stretch, he's essentially had a strikeout rate of about 17% and a walk rate of about 10.5%.
So to give some perspective to people, Vinny Pasquantino strikes out. His strikeout percentage this year is 17.7%, which is 71st percentile in baseball. So that's really good.
What's his walk rate?
His walk rate 6.5%.
So it's less
which
than
is
what
30
Kag's
percentile in baseball. So
I expect the strikeout rate for Kags to go up and the walk rate to go down.
100%. But that's kind of my point here is even if the walk rate goes down to, let's say, even like 6 to 7%, that's right in line with Vinny, which is not great. We'd like to see more walks, but it's not this unplayable amount.
Yeah.
And the strikeout rate, that's just today's baseball. 17.7% puts you in the 71st percentile. This was 1990. We'd say that's brutal. You can't do that. But also for what Kags does, again, if you're striking out at that rate, but you're also having the power that he has, I will take that versus Michael Massey with a strikeout rate with no power, or someone else with the same strikeout rate with no power. Like, he is a little bit of Vinny, but a little more home run potential. Fewer doubles, but more home run potential. I do wonder how the K affects him, right? Because the K is a lot bigger, so we'll see what it looks like. But those aren't wall scrapers he's hitting.
Yeah, that's the thing about his power at the K as opposed to, Michael Massey has power for a second baseman. Not at the K. Okay, he's got power for a second baseman lefty if he was playing for the Yankees.
Sure.
It'd be a little bit different.
Baltimore.
Yeah, but at the K, not so great with his power. You're going to have to really put a charge into it. And by the way, we've seen some hitters put a charge into the ball that just did not make it. I mean, Bobby's got crazy power, and he missed the shot yesterday that went back to the warning track. And it's like it didn't sound good, right? It sounded hollow when he hit it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know he has power, so he doesn't have to get it all to get it over the fence. It's a home run in a lot of parks. What do they say, 18 maybe? 18 ballparks, that was a home run. But they weren't playing in those ballparks. They were playing at Kauffman Stadium. I do expect some of those rates to continue. But David Lesky pointed this out, too, and listening to Matt Quattrero yesterday, and said, Jack, that even when Caglione is making contact outside of the zone, which, again, his bat-to-ball ability is elite, putting the bat on the ball even on pitches outside of the zone. But his contact rate on the hits that what he's put in play on pitches outside the zone, he's got two of them that are over 96 miles an hour. And it's something that Matt Quattrero specifically brought up in that interview that he did Sunday with MLB, network radio. That he did. It's like, well, they're talking about Jack Caglione. He's like, well, yeah, he can chase and he can hit some things outside of the strike zone, but he's not hitting them soft. He's hitting balls outside the strike zone, and 2 of his 4 are above, 95 miles an hour. I think there's something to be said for that. It's also sort of tempering the enthusiasm to a degree of what he can be. I'm just excited about the presence in the lineup of what he presents to this ball club. That is nothing to sneeze at.
Bless you. Yeah, don't sneeze.
I couldn't get to the. Go ahead and mark that for Friday. I couldn't get to the button to turn it off. I'm like, turn it off, man. It's sucking my will to live.
Wayne's World. I got that reference. Thank you.
All right, before we break, that's nothing to sneeze at. These numbers for Jack Caglione. Let's talk about the number. What do we think he will hit this year? Home runs. Sterling, we'll start with you. What number do you think Jack Caglione hits this year? 102 games left.
I will say, just random one.
102?
The number that came to my mind was 103. No, 17.
17 home
17
runs.
Feels about
record these here.
Realistic to me. I'm going to go 17.
17. So we got Sterling at 17. Jack, what say you?
I'm going to say an even 20. There will probably be a series, I'm going to guess in the second half, where he has, 4 home runs, maybe even 5 home runs in a 3-game series or 4-game series, and that'll get him a hell of a lot closer to 20. But there's also going to be stretches where I feel he's going to go through a bit of a slump at the big league level, as should be expected. But 20, he's got 102 games to do it. With the power that he has, 80-grade power, I believe it's doable.
All right. Dylan, what say you?
I'm gonna go 18, just to be conservative.
18 for you.
And
Okay.
I'd rather him hit for average and drive runners in with doubles, singles, whatever have you, just timely hitting rather than home runs. So this is my call to hopefully that changing the offense more so than like power hitting numbers.
Yeah, I don't want him going up there looking for a home run.
Right.
I want him going up there just looking to hit the ball hard
100%.
and see what happens after that. And if he does that, then he'll get his
Home
fair
runs
share of
happen.
home runs
Yeah.
along the way. Yeah. What I did was I put pen to paper and I calculated what a 35 home run season would be over the course of 102 games.
Okay.
So
Can I
that
guess?
would yeah, go ahead.
Is it 22?
It's 21.
Okay.
21 and change.
Yeah.
So I'm going with 21. I'm going with 21 home runs for Cags.
Math guy.
If it was 40 home runs over the course of 162, 102 games would put it at like 25.
Yeah.
A little aggressive. I'm not going to say he's going to hit the big leagues and be a 40 home run pace his first 100 games in baseball.
Well, now I seem like a buzzkill. I said 17. I feel like a buzzkill right now.
Well, that's because you hate Jack Caglione.
I love Jack Caglione.
Because you didn't come up with Lumberjack, so you're going to hate him.
I
Now you're
TM'd
gonna-
it.
Now you're going to root against
I'm
him.
the Hamburglar, basically. I stole it from you. That's how it works.
Doing Taco Tuesday. So we got 21 for me, 20 for Jack, 18 for Dylan, and 7 for Sterling. Okay, 17, whatever. 17 for Sterling with Jack Caglione. We'll see what happens with that. Jack Johnson, thank you for hanging out with us, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you on Wednesday, the day after Jack's debut. So maybe we'll talk some more Jack Caglione on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see what happens on that day. Appreciate you, brother.
Of course.
All right, there's Jack Johnson. We got Jack Caglione tomorrow night. We got Paul Gibson that's going to join us coming up next. He is the Royals' Senior Director of Pitching Performance, and in that role, we have seen a stark contrast and a difference in development of these pitchers in the minor leagues coming up to the big leagues. One of those guys being Chris Bubich, that is having an historic season. And for some reason, the betting market still doesn't appreciate Chris Bubich. He's got the 6th best odds to win the Cy Young. By the way, Jack Caglione's 2nd best odds for Rookie of the Year posted today.
Wow.
He's at plus 900 behind Jacob Wilson for the A's, who's minus 400 because
Yeah.
he's batting like 340.
I don't know how you catch up to that.
Well, he's hitting just a bunch of singles, Jacob Wilson is. And his
Yeah,
but his
but-
underlying numbers are terrible.
I don't know. I thought I saw they're not.
No, it's like
Brutal.
2%, like, barrel percentage and hard hit rate and stuff like that. Like, he's hitting a bunch of singles. He's batting at a high number. So if Jack Caglione puts together monster home runs and does some of those things on a team that can make the playoffs and be the difference, so he could do that. But at plus 900, so yeah, I threw a couple of peanuts on that already. But the pitching has been really, really good. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance for the Kansas City Royals. We're hanging out at Oakwood Country Club today. It is the Trent Green Golf Classic, and it goes and supports Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, rmhckc.org. More Zone right after this. Golf Classic that goes and supports the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. Each and every year that Trent Green has done this, all of the proceeds go to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. We will catch up with Trent Green coming up later on in the show, talk some football with him, talk some charity with him, and a little golf with Trent Green as well. Right now, let's talk some baseball, some pitching, some development, some, minor leagues into the professional or the major leagues, I should say. Joining us now is Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance for the Kansas City Royals here in the Zone on a Monday. Paul, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me.
Well, I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to talking to you because, I'm really fascinated by what's been going on with this organization over the past few years of the pitching development and what we have seen from what was, a frustration by a lot of fans with this Royals organization and what had been going on with the pitchers and scouting them and drafting them. And it seemed like, okay, these guys are good, and it didn't ultimately materialize. But now we're seeing that happen. We're seeing that development. When you were placed into the role that you are, Paul, when you were approached by JJ and Dayton about, pitching performance and being this director and now senior director of pitching performance, what was that conversation like? I'm wondering at the time, and what was sort of the edict of, your job in moving to pitching performance of what the organization wanted to get accomplished and address with what had been going on with development?
Well, to your point, certainly there was a lot of frustration in that period of time, and I had sort of a little bit of a segue into this position because JJ had asked me to spend the summers evaluating our pitching and getting involved in the development before it became a full-time thing, and then Dayton came to me right around the pandemic time, and we talked about philosophy and we talked about how much pitching development had changed and started to develop a plan. And originally, I tell this story quite often, I thought the beginning of the process was going to be a lot easier and seamless than I thought. And I had taken a trip to Northwest early on and left Northwest very frustrated with where we were, particularly in the communication with our players. This is about the time where pitching and pitchers were spending a lot of time in the off season with different types of outlets like Driveline and Cressy, Sports Performance, and Tread, et cetera. And I thought that we needed to have a better communication with our pitchers, and along with that, upgrade our thought process so we were better able to communicate with them on a better level. And so as I planned out the following years, I wanted to bring in some people that looked at the game a little bit differently and have a little more diversity on our staff as we viewed the game without getting away from our principles. I had been, at that point, been in the game over 40 years, 20 on the playing side, and then scouting, player development, et cetera. And so I wanted to have opinions, and I wanted to have diversity, and I wanted to have good, open debate and have people that were going to be able to communicate. And so I reached out to some people in the private sector that I knew that would give me some names of people to interview and bring them in. And so that's how it started. And right now I have what I believe to be the best pitching leadership group in the game from an experience standpoint and also a standpoint of understanding the science, understanding the research and development tool to pitching. And what it's done is it's created a really good conversation with our pitchers because that's the language that they're now speaking. So I think it positioned us really well to upgrade all of our development practices.
Is that as easy as, I guess overnight isn't the right word, but you mentioned that it was a little tougher and not as seamless as you expected it to be when you first took the job. there are some organizations that might have a one-size-fits-all for pitchers. This is what we do. This is our philosophy. It's not specific to every single pitcher, but the Tigers, they emphasize changeups and pitching down in the zone. And even if you're going to be below the strike zone, as long as it's down and throwing the changeup often. And even a guy like Tariq Skubal that's gone from, fastball to now, throwing his changeup as often as he does. Having the transition from a, maybe not necessarily a one-size-fits-all blanket approach to the individual approach, how long did that take to sort of get that up and running to where you had the body motion, the connection of this is what he does and this is how this pitch will play, and he's throwing the wrong pitch for how his release point is? How long does it take to get all of those studies done? And then I wonder, Paul, how long does it take to earn the trust of the player that they think, no, this is actually what's best for me because my coach in the offseason is saying I need to do this?
Well, all of those are great questions. Starting with philosophy, there has to be an overarching philosophy in the organization on how to develop pitching. Then beyond that, every single pitcher that we have has their own individual plan. Obviously, they're all different in their own kinds of ways. Deliveries and bodies and arms actions are certainly tools. The evaluation of those tools help you. They lead you in a direction to what type of pitcher you're talking about. We put a huge amount of emphasis on changeups. I do believe strongly that the changeup is still one of the pieces in the game that you can upset the timing of the hitter more easily because it's hard for them to practice the change of speeds back and forth. Whereas with breaking balls, they can hit off of machines and they can get a lot of reps on different size breaking balls. So it is a piece of our philosophy. To speak to your question about getting the pitchers to buy in, so to speak, we involve our pitchers in our discussions. And the accountability factor, when they're allowed to have a voice in their development and they're allowed to speak their mind, and we encourage the young pitchers to gain that kind of ability as they go. Obviously, the high school pitcher that comes into the system or the young Latin may not have that confidence to be able to speak at that level as opposed to a college guy that you might draft that was at a Vanderbilt or a Mississippi State or wherever, where they're taught a lot in their 3 or 4 years at college. So we have a program called Making Aces with all of our starters that has a fully encompassing view on their career, and they participate in those discussions. That's with performance science, that's with research and development, behavioral science, nutrition, the weight room, all of the above. So I think the fact that they're allowed to vent and allowed to weigh in on changes and things that we are putting in front of them makes a big difference.
Visiting with Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance. Have you, what is, I guess maybe from the scouting side of it to now the pitching performance and development side of it, what did you learn maybe in your time in this transition that maybe has helped pave the way, I guess, to what we see now, to the change in everything? I mean, there's so many advanced analytics and there's so many different ways of viewing how a pitcher throws and release point and everything. And you mentioned Driveline and some of these different companies that we have this that we didn't have, 10, 15, 20 years ago. How much integrating that has been a part of it, and how much is maybe the human factor? What's the, I guess, a better way to ask this, Paul, in a roundabout way is what's the way of the human factor versus this is what, the advanced analytics, this is what some of these new tools and ways of viewing how you're throwing the ball are integrated. How do you balance that?
Yeah, again, great question. I ask three questions of our people when we start to go down the road, no matter whether it's movement patterns, profiles, or its pitch arsenal. Should we add a changeup? Should we add a curveball, slider, sweeper? It's the why, it's when, and where. And so why are we going to do this? So they come prepared with the answer that they believe they'll get more swing and miss, for example, in-zone swing and miss. Okay, so when should we start this? Is it in instructional league? Is it in spring training? Is it in the off season? And then where? Is it double A? Is it an A-ball type thing? Is it a very early on thing? So when we answer those three questions, we're better positioned to serve the player in a better way. We do know that the aptitude plays a big role in a pitcher's ability to make these adjustments. We also know that limitations, for example, when they're assessed in the weight room or the training room on their abilities, and all kinds of measurements come into play, whether it be hip restrictions or strength, things like that play a role in what you might think a pitcher can do in his delivery. Whereas prior to all these sciences, you would say, oh, we want to increase his stride or we want to shorten his stride. Well, without the science now, you wouldn't have those answers. But now that we do have science, we can see reasons why a guy might have a short stride, and we would have to go down a different avenue. It might be a 6 to 8 week program in the training room to increase hip mobility to allow us to do our job better, where, again, in the past, you might go out to the bullpen and say, okay, let's start going, and it would be a fruitless effort because of the restrictions that the player has in his ability. So there are all kinds of scenarios that you have to consider before you do anything. And then, quite honestly, you don't want to complicate this. You want them to get the basic structure of what a starting pitcher looks like, what he needs to be able to do, and then the similar thing with relievers, building them up so they can pitch more frequently. And then lastly, the thing is maintaining health, creating programs, throwing programs, which I'm very proud of. When I hired Justin Friedman, one of his really good thoughts and strengths was talking about off-season throwing programs and how to develop. And we've instituted a couple plans in our daily activities that I do believe have both maintained health, which is a tricky proposition these days, and secondly, throwing better strikes.
Visiting with Paul Gibson, really interesting stuff because, you know, it's been one of those what seems to be, to a degree, an unanswerable question as to why some pitchers break down, why other pitchers are able to just simply throw as a workhorse. So, you know, is it the pronation, the supination? Is it the max velocity? What's the stress on the elbow and the shoulder? And so many things that people have wondered throughout the years. And, you know, that sort of how your body works to better serve the longevity of your health. Paul Gibson is our guest, Senior Director of Pitching Performance. A couple of pitchers that I wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, as you know, you mentioned a trip down to Double-A when you're first starting to assess this and your time in the pitching performance and seeing the evolution of what the Royals have done. There are a couple of pitchers that have come along, and they're both at the big league level right now, starters, and they both have a sub-2 ERA, one of them with a sub-1 ERA, or I guess barely above 1 now. I guess Noah Cameron's at a 1.05. Jeez Louise, man, get it together. Chris Bubic with his 1.4 ERA. What did you see from those guys? And as they were coming along, Bubic in that 2018 draft class had been up with the big leagues and then down, and certainly Tommy John was unfortunate in 23, but what did you see from those guys that maybe could you see something like this at the big leagues as they developed their pitching profile?
Yeah, so, you know, when Chris got drafted in 2018, a lot of people talk about that draft, and I was a part of that draft in the draft room, and we knew drafting Chris that there was a little bit of funk in the delivery, but he was able to repeat that and throw strikes. And when I first got to watch him on the pro level at Idaho Falls after he got drafted that year, we had a conversation, and I remember us talking about his changeup and telling him that one of the biggest pieces of development for him was going to be to have that changeup every day. No matter what, you've got a good fastball, and there'll be days where you're not going to have your breaking ball. But if you can work your changeup into your mix regularly, you're always going to have a weapon. And obviously, Chris got to the big leagues very quick based on our current needs at that time. He was at the alternate site during that shortened season, and it got to the big leagues. We could argue forever whether he was ready or not, and then he got hurt. But I have to tell you, one of the most impressive rehab processes that I've witnessed in professional baseball, both with the medical team, the rehab people, the coaches, and then the player himself. Complete commitment to the process. So Chris has always been a guy that we expected to be a well above average major league starter because of the way he thinks through the game and the pitch arsenal, et cetera. Noah Cameron is a really interesting story because we drafted him. He was coming off Tommy John, so that first year was sort of a non-factor. But again, looking at a blueprint of a left-hander that can change speeds and is able to identify what his strength is on that given day is what makes him very successful. There are days where his fastball's in the low to mid-90s. There are days where his fastball's closer to average, but he's able to recognize it early and change his plan of attack. And throwing 4 pitches for strikes, and recently added a 5th, which sometimes gets in the way of a game plan because you have so many options. But him being around Lugo, I think, is going to be a big help to him on addressing what's important on what day. Noah's a very bright, articulate kid, and watching him go through the system from Quad Cities, actually he started in Columbia, go to Quad Cities and then Double-A, and we knew last year when we got him ready that there was a point last year where we thought he was very close to ready, if not ready. And then obviously this year he's gone to the big leagues and done a good job. We all know it's not going to be that easy every night out, especially for a rookie. But we're very proud of both of those guys' processes.
Paul Gibson's our guest, Senior Director of Pitching Performance for the Kansas City Royals. With those guys and maybe even, going back to Chris Bubich for a second, he comes up with the big leagues and he was, 4-seam change curve. Then he gets injured, has Tommy John surgery, comes back, and he's 4-seam sweeper change slider, not throwing the curve at all. Is that part of this is what works for your body? The curve, contributed to Tommy John. The curve just wasn't good enough, so let's drop that for a sweeper. So the sweeper, the slider plays better off your changeup and your fastball. The evolution of a guy that comes in the first few years is 4-seam change curve, and a guy that drops the curve and is now 4-seam sweeper change slider. Right.
Well, this subject speaks to our relationship with the Major League staff. When Q came to the team, he was very quick to talk about collaboration between the big leagues and the minor leagues, particularly AAA. And Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove and Mitch Stetter and others in that Major League staff have been really, really good collaborating with us on what they see and what's playing at the Major League level. There are 2 pieces to this development process. It's the onboarding and the development of the young guys, and then there's the reality of development from AAA to the big leagues. And certainly the difference between the minor leagues and the big leagues has always been big, and it continues to be a big leap. But that collaboration, like, hey, Paul, the sweeper might be a good idea for Chris Bubich. and here's why. And we add it to the arsenal. We test it out, and it's in most cases recommendations are good, and in some obviously they don't work. And then we back up and we go down a different road. But I think the communication between Brian and his staff and myself and the people that I have is largely responsible for our abilities. And quite honestly, when it works for a Noah Cameron or a Chris Bubich, then we take it to another level and may try it with one of our A-ball guys or double-A guys that may be hitting a point in time where they need another pitch. But we, in the minor leagues, we try to primarily get the fastball command, change of speed, and then a usable breaking ball. And then as they get to the AA and AAA is when we start looking to expand the arsenal.
Yeah, the whole thing is fascinating, and I know from Royals fans, Paul, that just the position that this team is in right now of there's a trust that the pitchers are going to be developed where there was sort of a, just draft college bats and then trade them for arms that are already developed somewhere else. And obviously that's a lot of the work that you have done and your staff and Justin and all of those. And by the way, credit to the pitchers for their buy-in as well and the work that they've put in to develop over the years as well. Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance for the Kansas City Royals. Paul, thank you so much for the time. I could probably talk to you for another hour or so about this. I'm so fascinated by the whole thing and what we've seen in pitching over the years. But I really appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much, and continued success in what's going on with this team and this franchise.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the time. And I love the opportunity to give you and the fans of the Kansas City Royals the opportunity to get some insight on what's going on. It's always better to have a good opinion based on the information. So anytime you need anything, I'd be glad to give it to you.
Awesome. Paul, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate that.
Have a great day.
Stuff. Yeah, you too. Paul Gibson, Senior Director of Pitching Performance. Great stuff. And obviously I'd say turning point for the organization when JJ and Dayton come together and meet with Paul Gibson and say, we're taking you from the scouting side and we're moving you over here to the pitching side. I need you to go down and figure out what's going on, and let's come up with a plan as to how we can revamp this whole thing because it ain't working right now.
It is an insane turnaround for an organization, and especially for an organization that needs it more than, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
They're not the Yankees. They're not the Dodgers. You're going to have to try and win somewhere on the margins, and this has been a place where the Royals have been winning on the margins.
Yep, 100%. And to revamp everything and just where baseball is gone, and we'll take a break here, but I just remember back in the 2000 aughts that Brian Bannister on the Royals was a guy who was very in tune with some of the advanced analytics. He was talking spin rate back in 2008, 2009, and the organization was saying, Brian, shut up. This is dumb. All right, just go pitch. This is not what baseball is. It's not about these spin rates and all of this stuff. So he was ahead of it, but was sort of ostracized of like, what are you doing, dude? This is funny science, okay? And now we're seeing so much about all of the different things, the connection of the body to the release point, to the actual pitch, the shape, all of it that we're seeing in baseball that is just so accepted now. And the Royals were a little behind the times in that development, and Paul Gibson's done a fantastic job of getting them there, and Justin Friedman and other guys that have been a part of it. We'll take a time out, come back, continue rolling. We'll talk with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast at noon. The hitting side of development is Jack Caglione called up. The Royals 8 games out of first place, 1 game out of the wild card after losing the series to the Tigers. We'll talk about that, the historic start for Chris Bubich. We'll continue rolling. More Zone right after this. Paul Gibson, the Senior Director of Pitching Performance. If you missed that, that'll be up on the podcast, and just what this organization has done going back to right around the pandemic, a little bit after, when Paul Gibson took over, and now the Senior Director of Pitching Performance and his staff, and what they have done in integrating the body movements, the workouts to match that instead of a, maybe back in the day, a one-size-fits-all. This is what we do. This is the pitch we teach. This is, we're a curveball organization, whatever it might be. But now it's, your body movement, pitch shape is going to look like this if you have this arm angle. And if that's the case, let's do these workouts to maximize that, all of it resulting in some much, much better success. support the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. It is rmhckc.org. You can go there and check out and see all of the fantastic work that Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City does, where they support the families and charities, and they keep families close to their sick children while they get the care and supportive services that they need. A fantastic organization is the Ronald McDonald House. We'll talk to Trent Green today about that and some other things as well as we continue rolling here from Oakwood Country Club. Let's talk some Royals baseball, and that is with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. What's that, Sterling?
I kind of want to talk Q39.
You do?
I kind of want to talk how delicious this is.
Well, it is good. I'm glad that you get to enjoy it.
I want to talk about how
working.
this brisket and pulled pork is absolutely phenomenal.
I am appreciative and also sort of frustrated at the same time because I love Q39, but that short break I had to just tear into the brisket and the pulled pork and everything to where I couldn't actually enjoy it. Kind of like you eat just in general. You don't enjoy it. You just
I enjoy it so much. That's why I eat it so fast.
So I had to eat it so
quickly.
quickly.
I enjoy it so much.
I'm
a voracious person.
Yeah, I don't think I did justice to Q39 and actually savoring the flavors that you have, though. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make you do some work around here, Sterling.
Hey, Joel, have fun talking with Jason. I'm going to go ahead and eat this delicious plate and maybe even eat Jason's plate right there.
Well, it's going to go cold. Then. I don't want it to go to waste. Go ahead and mark that
I guess we could just go with Q39 being the Jack Caglione barbecue.
Hey, you know what? They got called up to my belly. They got called up to my belly, and it was fantastic. And you know what? It really hit the spot.
It was a home run.
Yes. Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. All right, happy Jack Day to you, Joel Penfield. You know what? Let's start off with this. It's kind of generic, but I'm just curious of your reaction. You know, it came out of nowhere for me, quite frankly, when I saw the news and Jeff Passan's tweet that the Royals were promoting Jack Caglione. I had to make sure that it was Jeff Passan and not like one of those fake ones that we see from time to time. And it was Jeff Passan. So, Joel, you see the news. What's your reaction and takeaway from finding out that Jack Caglione is going to be elevated and promoted and he'll be in St. Louis?
I kind of heard through the grapevine that this was coming possibly, as early as Tuesday, but it was, nothing had been confirmed. So it's obviously not, what wasn't 100%, but I had it in the back of my mind that it could be coming. I certainly didn't expect the news to drop on Sunday night. And, of course, it happened right as I ended my live show on Sunday night. I walk back upstairs, and I go and sit down on my couch, and the second that I sit down, the notification comes back. So then, you hop right back on and break the news. It's something that we knew was coming, and with every home run and with every performance that he was having, oh, my goodness. Sorry about that.
You okay?
With every passing day, it just felt like he was getting that much closer. He was improving. He was hitting for power, and it was getting to a point where he wasn't getting pitched to in AAA hardly at all. Like he was. There were multiple at bats over the weekend and leading into the weekend against St. Paul where their pitchers weren't giving him anything, and that's not good for his development either. When he's not going to get pitched to, so you might as well call him up and at least let major league pitchers attack him and see what he can do with it. There just, to me, wasn't a lot left for him to prove, and the Royals saw that. They got to that point, and now here we go. And you wish it was under better circumstances on the big league side, that you don't feel like he has to be the savior and the difference for this team moving forward. But he immediately provides a spark that we've been talking about over the last few weeks, and we'll see what he does. But I'm certainly excited and fired up that Jack is finally in the big leagues.
How much do you think this is connected to the one run scored over the last couple of days? I mean, you said you sort of heard through the grapevine that this was coming. So if they scored, 8 runs on Saturday and 9 runs on Sunday, do you think the news is still the same Sunday night? Or was there a little bit of a pushing the timeline up a few days with the 1 run scored in 2 games?
The timeline could have been pushed up a little bit, but when it drops on a Sunday night like that, to me, that indicates that this was coming no matter what. And I think it just, you got a little bit of like correlation causation with calling him up right after you have a weekend where you don't score many runs. You score 1 in the final 2 games against Detroit. So, it kind of looks that way. But to me, this is more about Jack making the decision for the Royals and the Royals having to make a decision on him. Needing to pull that ripcord. I think he showed there wasn't much left for him to do in AAA, and now it's just a matter of, figuring it out at the big league level and finishing that development. But it's certainly, I understand the sentiment of people like, well, we saw what they did last week, so we got to pull that ripcord. The way that JJ and company had talked about it, that they didn't want that to be the situation, tells me that they probably had this lined up no matter what, and it just happened to fall after a couple inept offensive performances.
Yeah, it's so funny that it's been mentioned a few times about, well, the last thing we want is for him to come up when the offense is struggling. Like, we want the offense to be performing when he comes up so that he doesn't think, or people don't think that he's going to be the guy that's just there to save the offense. And then a couple of games where Scooball is there's nothing wrong with scoring one run in a game against Drake Scooball.
Yeah, I almost threw Saturday out the window in that regard.
Just yesterday when you got Montero on the mound and can't really do anything against him, that you'd like to see a better performance. And it's like, man, they spend a weekend doing that. And then Jack Caglione is called up after saying, we'd like the offense to be performing well, but you can just sit there and say, I'd like to dunk on an 11-foot goal, but it's not happening anytime soon, right? I mean, we want the offense to be performing well. Okay, what's that look like? And is that going to happen soon, or are you just going to keep delaying the inevitable because you don't want him to come up and think he's the savior? And I don't think he's going to. Like, I think that's an easy conversation, Joel, that you have with the guy and say, you're here to play baseball. You're not here to be Aaron Judge. You're not here to be, Shohei Ohtani. You're here to play baseball and be a part of the Royals. And if the Royals need a savior, the dude's playing shortstop already and finished second in MVP voting last year. So, just join the club, be yourself, play baseball, do what you do, and let the game come to you. That seems like an easy conversation to have so that he doesn't come up and think, I've got to hit all these home runs because this offense is struggling. No, just be a part of it. And if you struggle, you struggle. If you go and perform, you perform. But just go play baseball. Like I don't think, Joel, that Jack Caglione will show up and think, I've got to be the guy that hits a bunch of home runs for this offense, so I need to be swinging out of my shoes and I need to do extra stuff for this team more than I was doing down in the minors.
No, I don't think that's going to be the case either. Now, he's certainly going to try it. He's going to get his ace swing off more often than not.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's the type of player that he is, and he's pretty successful when he's able to do that. But I agree. I think this is a rare circumstance where you have a blue-chip, high-level prospect that comes up through your organization quickly, and he doesn't have to be the savior because you already have that guy in your organization as a established veteran at this point. Bobby's still a young player. He's only 24. But Cags is 22, played 79 minor league games, 50 this year alone, and now he's already shown that he's ready to go. I mean, there's a lot of cause for excitement with this, and this doesn't feel like they rushed him. I think this is a situation where he truly earned the promotion and has done everything they asked of him, and there's not now all that's left to prove is can he swim in the big leagues, and I would venture to guess that he can.
Yeah. Visiting with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. How much is the timeline sped up in your mind of what you thought maybe realistically? They draft him on July 14th, 2024, pick him number 6 overall. I thought he would go number 1, and I'm glad I had the tweet out because I've seen it a couple times over the last few days with the Royals on the clock, and I said, Jack Caglione, do not break my heart, JJ. So I wanted Jack. I could not believe he was there at number 6, but they draft him July 14th. He's going to make his debut on June 3rd. Realistically, when you're thinking about it, or even entering this season, knowing what he was doing at spring training, what did you think the timeline would be for Caglione when we would see him for the first time in a Royals uniform?
When they drafted him, I didn't have 2025 in my mind at all. And some of that was because I wondered if they would allow him to pitch, and that maybe slows down the timeline a little bit. But once they said he's just going to hit, I'm thinking, okay, high A to end this year, double A, triple A, 2025, and then like opening day 26, we're having a conversation about him being on the big league roster. That sped up a little bit with what we saw from him in spring training with the big league club. And I'm thinking maybe late in the year, like late July, early August, cup of coffee, get it figured out. And the timeline just kept moving up and moving up and moving up with every home run, with every performance, with every 115-mile-an-hour hit ball. Just you could just tell really quickly, like, oh, this is going to happen way faster than any of us anticipated. And I think even the most optimistic people in the world didn't foresee a June 2nd, June 1st promotion for him, even when they drafted him last year. And certainly even after the spring training he had, that it would be this aggressive.
Visiting with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. I'm with you. And maybe, I'd said June 24th, and maybe I should have sped that up a little bit more. Because when they started playing him in outfield, and when we talked about this in Double-A, when he started getting some time in right field, and we said, well, the Royals were saying that once he got to Triple-A, he would start playing some outfield. So once he played a number of games in right field at Triple-A, and I think Double-A, 7 games in the outfield in Double-A, he's played 12 games for Triple-A. 7 of those 12 games are in the outfield. And, Joel, maybe the giveaway was that 4 of his last 5 games have been in right field. That the timeline of we're going to have him play outfield a couple of days a week, that was what they started in Double-A. And that was sort of the process. And then he got to Triple-A, and Rusty Kuntz last week on a Tuesday talking to Steven St. John saying, yeah, a couple days a week, we just want to get him in the outfield. And then over a 5-game stretch, he plays 4 games in the outfield and 1 at DH. Like, kind of an indication of their sort of ramping it up and making sure every day he can go and trying to get him as many opportunities in the outfield to go and make catches, get reads on the baseball, throws it to third, throws to home, just different scenarios while he's developing in real time. That timeline was starting to get sped up in their mind too.
I think that should have been an indicator, and I noticed it, but I didn't think anything of it because I certainly didn't think it would be 2 weeks in AAA and then he's up in the big league. So I thought that was a showing that, hey, maybe he's getting more comfortable out there. But I did not have it in my mind at all that was going to be the sole indicator that, hey, he's going to be up here a little faster than any of us think, even though he's probably ready to go.
All right, let's talk about this. Where do you think he is spotted in the batting order? Where is he at in the lineup tomorrow night?
I think he's going to hit 6. I think it'll go India, Bobby, Vinny, Salvi, Michael, Cags. Now, that is going to change, I think, as the season goes. But I think there's as much as I would love to see him hitting 3 behind Bobby, you don't do that to a rookie right off the rip. Even if it is on the road, and you don't have that necessarily that weight of expectation of making your home debut hitting 3, but I think that would be where I would start him out. And then if he gets hot early, then I think you move him up, 3, 4, 5, and just stick him in the middle of the order and just let it play.
Yeah, I wrote down 6th as well with that exact lineup: Salvi, Michael, and then Jack with the. Certainly the possibility scenario of him sliding up to number 4 eventually and maybe Salvi moving back to 5. Or Salvi and Jack just flipping.
Instead of jacked up, if he starts doing well, it'll be move Jack up, right? Just take the D off.
But I also think, I think there's a shot that we could see a Vinny Cag switch from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Would be how I would slot it moving forward.
So Caglione protecting Bobby, Vinny behind Jack, as opposed to your power hitter Caglione number 4 in your cleanup spot, your traditional cleanup spot, having it that way. Either way, as long as Salvi's struggling and we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit to where he may end up if he is hot. That'd be awesome if that's the case. But I'm perfectly fine penciling him in at number 6 in the batting order. But also there's been a history of the Royals saying, we don't have an issue with breaking a guy in his first game, batting him, near the top of the lineup, because Bobby Witt broke camp with the big league club in 22, and opening day at home, he was batting 2nd behind Whit Merrifield. Like, it was Whit Merrifield, Bobby Witt, the number 2 hitter in the lineup on opening day. So if they have him batting 5th or something along, it wouldn't really be that much of a surprise, especially if Michael Garcia is missing a game again. Then if he's out another game, then I wouldn't mind seeing Jack Caglione bat 5th. We'll see what kind of pitches Salvi may get. Probably the same type of pitches he's always gotten. But yeah, I'm putting him in 6th right now with the possibility of him moving up. And interesting, you would say that he and Vinny might be somebody that would flip, because I would think that Vinny is just penciled in at the 3-hole for the time being in Q's mind.
I think Tags is a built-in a lab 3-hole hitter. Like, the ability to drive in runs, hit for power, protects, the cleanup hitter. Like, it's a much more, like, prototypical profile, and I think moving Vinny down to 5 maybe takes a little bit of pressure off of him and gives him more opportunities to drive in runs with the potential of Bobby and Cags ahead of him in the lineup and Salvi as well. I think it balances out the lineup a little bit more, and maybe Vinny doesn't feel the need to be as aggressive as he has been at times this year with runners on, which has led to some of the lack of success that he's had compared to what he had in 2024. And I think it makes the lineup a little bit better having, you know, a 1-2 punch of Bobby Cags, and then they're not going to move Salvi out of 4 unless it gets really, really bad. And then we're already reaching that point, unfortunately. But then Vinny at the 5, I think and Michael at the 6. That's a really, really good lineup.
I'll take it. Drew Waters then, you know, somewhere along the lines later on in the lineup, and what Isbell's doing at 9. Hopefully he can continue his pace that he's on. It just elongates the lineup a little bit more and adds that threat that's there in the middle of the lineup to go and, you know, somebody's on base and you put a crooked number up there with a one swing of the bat instead of having probably 4 singles to put up 2 runs.
Right. Joel, will we see him in the lineup Thursday against a lefty? There's a very important reason why.
Yeah, it's not important at all. But
I do think that they're going to give him a shot against the lefty.
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm going to be at the game Thursday in St. Louis, and if he's not in the lineup, I'm going to be devastated.
I don't think there's – like, I understand why you would think that, and the way that the Royals historically have played it with Matt Contreras as the manager with a heavy platoon, but I don't think you're bringing up Jack Caglione and then throwing the baby gloves on him and going, hey, we're just going to hit you against righties. We're not, you know, you're going to play 4 days a week, 5 days a week. We're not going to play against lefties. No, this dude, and he's proven he can hit lefties in the minor leagues, so it's not like it's that drastic that he can't do it. So I don't see any reason why he's not in the lineup. I think you'll have the two in your lineup left-handed will be left-handed will be Cags and Vinny, and then 7 righties.
I think it's a win-win for everybody on Thursday. If Cags is in the lineup, great, he's in the lineup. If he's not, then Sterling's there and Cags isn't in the lineup. So it's a win-win no matter what for everybody.
You see a sad Sterling. You'll see
a win.
Devastated man
Take the win.
Who will have to drink too many beers to try and alleviate the pain. And then, who's that in the 9th inning? Royals down 1, man on first base.
Nick
pinch
Lofgren.
hit. John Rave.
Mark Canha. Mark Canha.
And it's a single. But they need 3 more.
At best.
They need 3 more.
At best. Hanging out with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. Let's talk Chris Bubich for a little bit. You know, we've talked about Chris Bubich a number of times this year, Joel, but it seems like each and every time he goes out there, it continues to be impressive. I have no idea how he's still the 6th betting favorite to win Cy Young. Not that he's going to win the Cy Young. Skubal is still the favorite there, but the best ERA through the first 12 starts of a season in the wild card era, so going back to 1995, the best ERA through the first 12 starts, 2000 Pedro Martinez, 0.99, 2018 Justin Verlander, 1.11, 2025 Chris Bubich, 1.43. I thought he would have a good year. I was hoping that we would see him continue from what he did in the bullpen to then take that to a starter. I was thinking something like high 3 ERA, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8. I would have taken it immediately. My fear was we start to debate throughout the season if he should move back to the bullpen or not since he was so effective. It hasn't come out of nowhere in him being good. I think there's a level of coming out of nowhere for him being on a historic start and a pace for how good he is. What's your confidence level that this is who Chris Bubich is? Doesn't have to be a sub-2 ERA, but this guy on the mound that has command of 4 pitches, that has confidence in 4 pitches, and by the way, Joel, willing to throw it in the zone and still getting swing and miss stuff.
Yeah, I think the sample size is big enough now that what we're seeing from Chris Bubich is not smoke and mirrors, anything that we should see a massive regression to the mean. I don't think we're heading in that direction. The guy has just been unbelievable, and every time I sit there and I think, man, I wonder when is he going to get blown up? When's the other shoe going to drop on this a little bit? Not wishing for it to happen, obviously, but just, okay, when is this going to flip? And it just hasn't. And he just continues to get better. Gave up, 3 earned runs in his last 7 starts. Gave up 2 in the entire month of May. It's been unbelievable. And I don't know where you go for how much better he could possibly get. But I mean, at worst now, he might pitch to a ERA in the mid-2s. I mean, he's going to finish in the top 3 or 4 for Cy Young, and that'd be 3 different Royals pitchers in the last 2 years that have the potential to finish in the top 4 for Cy Young voting. And that pay Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove all the money that they need to keep them here, because they're building something really special, not just with Bubic, but just this entire pitching staff.
Yeah, do not let them walk, and pay the money, whatever it takes. Pay this man is Miani. Whoever it is, you can have a terrible Russian accent.
Was that Russian? I was trying to figure out what that was.
It's John Malkovich, and a terrible, terrible accent that he had in that movie. But still, the Oreos got him. It gets you every time, man. You put some Oreos in the house, they get you every single time. Joe Penfield is our guest. One more for you. They optioned Dairon Blanco to make room for Jack Caglione, and a couple of names came to mind that I was wondering what they would do to make room for him. If that would be Blanco, if it would be John Rave, or would it be Michael Massey? And it was not Michael Massey, but he's still sitting there with his 7 extra base hits and his 486 OPS. How long until the Royals just have to make a decision and say, they did this with MJ a while ago, but how long until they just say, we can't do it? We've got to send him down, because having a 486 OPS in the lineup and being one of the worst qualified hitters in all of baseball, we just can't do it, and take Waters or India or Garcia or whoever out of the lineup on a given day now that Jack Caglione is up.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's much longer. Really solid high-level defense only gets you so far if you can't hit at all. And I'm not even asking for him to do anything crazy more than like an 80 weighted runs created plus, but we're not even close to that. It's in the 20s. Yeah. And it's not doing him any good to keep running him out there when he's clearly lost at the plate. And it's not doing the team any good, because you already have an offense that's struggling mightily, and you're throwing a guy in the lineup that's the worst qualified hitter in the sport. It can't last much longer. I'm surprised that he was not the corresponding move with an option there, and they can keep Dairon as a 4th or 5th outfielder, the pinch run role. That isn't going to change for him. He was already playing, once a week or so without much, outside of that other than pinch run opportunities. Maybe that's gone away a little bit, and that may be the role that John Rave takes on for, the next couple of weeks. I also, there's still opportunities for them to maybe go and make a move to get Massey out, and it could be like a Tyler Tolbert or something like that. You get that speed element with some positional versatility as a bench player. Maybe it's a little more palatable, even if Tolbert's not going to hit his weight much. He's at least fast. He can play the outfield. He can play the infield. And it gives Michael Massey a chance to reset where he desperately needs it. I don't think this is the end for Michael Massey if he does go down, but he needs a reset big time, because it's not working at all. This is more than just a slow start that we've seen from him throughout his career. This is, flatly a disaster right now with having him at the plate.
Last one for you. What are you hearing on Cam Devaney? Is that a possibility that when they make the move that Michael Massey would get optioned when and if, I guess,
the tricky part
move
with that one is Cam Devaney has played almost exclusively shortstop. He hasn't moved around at all to other positions, to my knowledge. That he would require a 40-man move, so that would probably mean it's like a DFA of Mark Canha or something like that to add him to the 40, but then that would require a secondary move to get, make the 26-man roster work right. I don't know, but I think Cam Devaney should get a chance. He's proven it, over this season as well. Obviously, Jack is just the more high-profile guy, but Devaney had, a pretty solid year last year and then has been really good this year. So I think it will eventually see him get a chance, but there's going to be a little more roster movement that needs to happen to get him up.
Yeah, I say no stone unturned right now.
Correct.
As they are 8 games behind the Tigers, 1 game out of the wild card, so we'll see. Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast, joining us here. Joel, you're the man. Appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the games and Jack Caglione being in the lineup, and we'll talk next week, man.
Sounds good. Have a good one, Jason.
Absolutely, you too. There's Joel Penfield joining us, One Royal Way podcast, as the Kansas City Royals, they do lose the series to the Tigers. There was not a big takeaway from me as in like, well, the Tigers are just that much better than these Royals. It was an opportunity to not only take the series, but, potentially sweep the series. It did not happen. They lose the series. They lose a game on the Tigers, and they sit 2-5 on the season against the Tigers straight up. We'll see what happens as well. We'll talk with Max Reaper, Royals review at some point today. We'll sit down and hang out with Trent Green at some point in the show today, as well as we are hanging out at the Trent Green Golf Classic. It is Oakwood Country Club, where it is going to support the families of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. And every year that he's done this Trent Green Golf Classic, and part of his philanthropic part of his playing career was teaming up with the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City back when he was still with the Chiefs as a player. So it's been a long relationship there with Trent Green. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. classic that we are hanging out at, and it is proceeds going to support the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. Jack Caglione promoted to the major leagues yesterday. That news coming out last night, and we'll see where he's at in the lineup tomorrow night. I forgot to ask Joel what his home run number was. So
all of them.
Somebody, can anybody possibly get a hold of Joel Penfield and ask him what his number is for how many home runs Jack Caglione?
Call him back. Say we need you for a second.
Just
very important question.
No, you can just ask him off the air. You can pass that along.
I did that yesterday, by the way.
Deal.
I just randomly my wife and I were looking at some chairs, and we couldn't decide which one to get.
Yeah.
And so we just randomly texted someone in our contact. We said, "Hey, which chair, left or right?"
What did they say?
They picked my chair.
Oh, of course. Yeah, well, shocker.
And we like both chairs. They're both our chairs.
Dylan, you think he would have told that story if they would have picked his wife's chair?
Yes, I would have.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right.
I just thought it was funny just texting a random person. Hey, which chair, left or right?
That is true. Just that random person. Like we were, before softball season started for Jules, we were going out and picking a glove for her, and it's like me and her and the little man. And so I look at all the different gloves and I set them down and which one she likes. And so I text them to my wife. I'm like, all right, which one? Which one do you like? She ended up going with the one that neither myself, my wife, or my son picked.
By the way,
she has
hers.
Good for her.
But it's hers. It's her glove.
Joel went with my number as well. It is 18 for Joel Penfield, his guess.
Okay. 18 for Joel Penfield. There we go. We got him down in the books.
Paul
and
Gibson
there's no changing it.
Did you ask Paul?
I should have asked Paul how many home runs in Jack Caglione's career.
Yeah.
Over under 708. Over. Why not?
Over.
Why be negative?
Seems
here?
low.
Yeah, why be negative about this whole thing? Let's go, man. Let's enjoy the fact that Jack Caglione's getting called up. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. By the way, the College World Series has been going on and has been enjoyable as well, watching that. Unfortunately, KU, K-State losing in the regionals. But we saw something happen for the first time since 1999, and that is the number one overall seed, number one national seed, Vanderbilt, not even make it to the regional final, not even make it to the final of their own region, as they were eliminated by Wright State. And then Wright State ended up losing to Louisville late last night. But Vanderbilt needed to win that one just so they could get to the regional final against Louisville. They would then have to win last night and then again today. We've got like 5 different games today, I think it is. I don't know when they started, but 5 or 6 different games today that are Game 7s. They are the final games where both teams are tied with 1 loss. Win and you go to Super Regionals, lose and you go home. So it's been entertaining from that standpoint. But did you see how Vanderbilt ended up losing? Besides losing 5-4.
Yeah, I did not. I saw Wright State won, which feels so wrong.
Oh my God. So Indy, anyway,
But I guess it's right. State.
They gave up 5 runs. Okay, so that's how they lost, by giving up 5 runs and only scoring 4. But 9th inning, they have a runner at first. Vanderbilt does. They hit a double that was going to score the run at first, but it bounces into the stands for a ground rule double. Second and third, and they don't get that run home from third. They get their third out, and they end up losing the game 5-4.
That's tough. I did see the Florida situation where they had, was it bases loaded, 1 out? Or 2 on, second, third, 1 out, or no outs, whatever it was. No, it had to be bases loaded. And it was a 3-0 count. The guy gets the take sign. Immediately hits into a double play on 3-0, and the coaches are yelling at him as he's walking back in, like, what the bleep are you doing? It was 3-0. Take sign. So college baseball, wild.
Dude,
Kids these days not listening.
Yeah, there was some fireworks and things. Oklahoma State, Georgia, with Georgia flipping the bat at the dugout of the Oklahoma State side after hitting the home run.
It's too bad Mick's not here. We get mixed thoughts.
Right. Duke knocking off Oklahoma State, unfortunately for Mick. And then you had the controversial A.J. Gracia, who's like the number 4 or 5 prospect in all of baseball, that's going to be drafted in July 14th, probably a top 5, top 10 selection, that he hits a home run. they have a hard hat that they wear in the dugout for home run props. They wear this hat because of the hard-working sort of lunch pail mentality of Duke players.
Yeah.
So they have a hard hat
because it's a smart-ass kind of tone.
Because it's just the grit and the grind and making it and scrappy all their way to making it to Duke.
My father only made $500,000 last year.
Wow, you're poor. Don't worry, my mom made $3 million, so it's all good. We were able to keep the lights on in our house. But they put on a hard hat when they hit a home run. And A.J. Gracia hits the home run, puts the hard hat on. They eventually score another run, and they come out and celebrate. And Gracia takes 2 steps out of the dugout holding the hard hat, or wearing the hard hat still, which is a prop that's now on the field, which is not allowed. The umpire looks over. He's 2 steps out of the dugout, getting ready to high-five the player that's coming to him. Ejected. Kicked out of the game, which means he misses game 1 of the Super Regionals for Duke.
Well, I'm glad
number 5 overall player in the Major League Baseball draft.
I'm glad the umpire could make it about him. That's real nice.
I mean, a warning, something, hey, go back in the dugout. Come on. I'm like, because he looked at him, he's like, because he was wearing the hard hat from hitting the home run earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, the props, whatever, that was a big deal in baseball a few years ago with the props and things like that.
In football, people wear these chains and these.
Not on the field.
But they're not on the field.
I know, he was outside the dugout.
They're not in the batter's box rocking this thing.
NCAA has to step in and not disqualify him for game 1 of the Super Regionals.
Disqualify the ump?
Either way, I'm fine with disqualifying the ump, but they've got to step in and reverse the ejection and the punitive damage of being ejected, of missing game 1 of the Super Regionals for Duke's best player.
Yes.
Because he was wearing a hard hat for hitting a home run and was 2 steps outside of the dugout, not to taunt the other team. That'd be different. Because, again, Georgia's players can look at the dugout and flip a bat looking right at them. And
Fine.
hey, guys, don't do that anymore. Please don't do that. But wearing a hard hat 2 steps out of the dugout gets you ejected and then missing game 1 of the Super Regionals. So
North Carolina fans, what it was.
That ump. Probably. Yeah. Is North Carolina play? No, I get it. North Carolina and Duke. I don't know who Duke is going to play, because I think that is game 7 that's going to go on to play in the Super Regionals for the Duke Blue Devils. But he's going to be out.
Speaking of Jack Caglione, didn't he have a response to not celebrating too much after a home run, and that's why we see that video of him very straight, walking all the way back with his shoulders
arms
back,
straight down,
and his arms straight down. Yeah, exactly. Because they, I think, got
no
warned.
Emotion.
I think they either got warned or a guy was ejected for celebrating a home run last year in the regionals.
They may have gotten warned. I think it was. I don't know that it resulted in an ejection, but in order to not get ejected, he hits the home run.
That's right.
Shows no emotion, straight face, jogging around the bases with his hands straight down so he doesn't celebrate too much, and then crossing home plate and not even giving high fives to his teammates, walking straight to the dugout with no emotion on his face whatsoever.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. He went I'd eject him for being a smartass.
It's like the Rasheed Wallace.
Honestly, I thought they would.
Dude got it. Who's the guy that got ejected yesterday in the game because he tapped his helmet?
That was awesome.
To the home plate umpire.
The Tampa Bay Rays player.
I didn't tap bleep.
He did.
I didn't tap. You absolutely tapped your helmet. Also, why is that ejectable? To tap
you knew what you were doing. It's very funny, but you gotta. That one I slightly understand because everyone knows what you're doing. You're saying it's a ball.
Yes, you're right.
I hate that he's ejected. I wish the umpire was like, hey, man, come on, dude. Come on. But still, I at least slightly understand that.
It's rare that college baseball can be more, stuck up and get off my lawn than the pros.
God, yeah.
But they've done it back-to-back years now with this one and the CAGS thing.
Yeah, they've certainly done it, and it's been, unbelievable. And then you had we were watching yesterday the Tennessee and UCLA game in the Women's College World Series, and rooting for Tennessee. And so I don't know if you guys saw this, the way that this thing went down with the replay and the home run. This was unbelievable. I've never seen something like this before in the replay era. So it's the top of the 7th inning. UCLA's down by 2 runs. They're down 4-2, and Tennessee's got their ace on the mound that throws, the fastest pitch ever. But she's getting up there in pitch count, but also who cares because it's softball. You can throw 140, 150, then come back the next day because the arm works differently underhand than overhand. We know that. So it's 4-2, 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. Both teams have 1 loss, so it's an elimination game in the College World Series. Loser goes home. Base hit. Runner at first, 2 outs. 2-run home run to tie it up. The lady for UCLA, player comes all the way around, celebrating at home, her whole team there. She skips and goes to stomp on the plate while getting ready to give high fives, steps right over it. Doesn't even touch it. And it's obvious in the replay that it wasn't like, ooh, that's maybe not. No, you could see plate, dirt, heel. So she's celebrating with her teammates. As soon as she steps over, when she goes and steps down, the catcher for UCLA happens to be looking down to celebrate with her slamming her foot, and then goes, oh, and points at the plate, and then goes and tries to grab her. And she's celebrating, and nobody will let her get away because the catcher's the only one that saw this. Is like for UCLA, she was on deck.
Yeah.
She's the only one that saw this. She's trying to get her back. Finally, they stop celebrating. She turns her around and pulls her to go and step on home plate. She steps on home plate. Tennessee asked for review, want replay review. Clearly missed home plate. But the rule is you can't be assisted by a player that did not touch home plate before you. So if somebody touches home plate before you on that play, like if the girl that had scored before her on the 2-run home run had pushed her back to touch home plate, apparently that's legal.
Okay.
But assisted by somebody else is illegal. The batter is out.
Makes sense.
So they go to replay. I went back and had to rewind it because I wanted to know how long. 14 minutes.
Nice.
Of the umpires just standing there while the replay review was going on.
Half an episode of Family Feud.
This is UCLA being eliminated if they're called out.
Yeah.
Or going into the bottom of the 7th, or there's still 2 outs at that point, so maybe UCLA putting another run on the board. It's just taking forever, and the clock is and it's like, what is going on here? They're bringing in rules analysts that are saying, yeah, she didn't touch the plate. She can't be assisted. The question, maybe they might let the call stand if they feel like she didn't assist her, like she didn't technically pull her, if she just got her attention and then pointed there while touching her. Like, does that count as assisting? Maybe that's where you get into the gray area, the minutia. Clearly she did not touch home plate. That is not a question for this. They take their time, and it's taking forever, and they keep showing this UCLA player in the dugout. She's by herself, just staring, as in like, if we lose this game, and I just had a 2-run home run in the top of the 7th with 2 outs to tie the game in the College World Series, and I didn't touch home plate.
Yeah.
It wasn't a question about that. She did not touch home plate. They come back, finally. Ruling. The ruling on the field stands. The UCLA player did not touch home plate. She was assisted by a player not on the field. But being assisted by a player not on the field is not a reviewable play. Call stands, run counts.
Wow.
It took them 14 minutes. 14 minutes to come back and go, she didn't touch home plate, but she went back and touched it eventually, and it didn't matter who helped her or not because we can't review that part of the play. It got all the way to apparently Appendix G. So then they started talking about Appendix G being this College World Series. Appendix G.
Some people get theirs taken out.
Right? Yeah, it's like they got all the way past Preparation H to get to Appendix G, and they got there, and 14 minutes. 14 minutes for them to come back and go, oh, by the way, assisting the player is not reviewable. It took them that long to figure out whether that's a reviewable play or not?
So, one, I've always said...
By the way, Tennessee won in the bottom of the 9th in a walk-off. They eventually won the game anyway.
So, I've always said and always thought if you hit a home run, once it goes over, I don't think there should be any... the play's done, in my opinion. I think it should...
like softball?
Men's league softball.
Just walk back to the dugout?
Walk back. I think it's done. I think if you hit a home run, it's over the fence, play's over. You get the runs. I do think, different situation, let's say you're driving someone and they miss home plate. And this happens and they do have the assist and the person assists them. Well, they should be out because that to me is like dropping the football before on the 1.
Yeah.
You're celebrating, you're doing all this, you drop the football before the 1. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
It's still a live play.
It's still a live play, right? That's still a live play. I've always thought that a home run should be done. It should be dead because
I disagree. I like the running around the bases. I like the celebrating. Plus, if you hit a home run and pimp it thinking that it's gone, you're probably not even to first if that thing stays in play. At least by pimping it a little and jogging to first, at least you're somewhat down the line when it doesn't leave, and you can maybe get to second or first.
Sure.
But that's besides the point. That's just helping out somebody that is misjudged how far they've hit a baseball. But I like the rounding of the bases. I think there's a payoff to you hit the home run and you get to jog around the bases and enjoy it. Beer league softball, we don't have time for this. All right, go just hit the home run, go back into the dugout. We don't have time for you to run around the bases. We're getting to the next one. We only have like an hour and 15 minutes to play this game. Yeah, no, nobody cares. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
We're not handing out the commissioner's trophy tonight, so
it feels good when you
get
hit
back
one,
in the dugout and have another beer.
Solo shot or not, I'm feeling pretty good when you hit one.
Right? Wouldn't you have liked to round the bases and really enjoy it?
No.
Yeah, you would
Gotta
have.
act
You
like
know
you
you
know.
would have.
I deep down I'm thrilled. I'm like a kid again. But what I do when once you hit it, you just go, all right, I've been here, I've done that before. But inside, you're like, you guys see that? Joey Gallo. That was Joey Gallo-esque right there.
But here's the thing, though. It clears the fence. People have their reaction. By the time other fields or people walking around look over and go, oh, somebody hit a home run, you're already in the dugout with your teammates giving them high fives. They have no idea who hit it. Whereas if you're almost to
Beer's
second,
already in hand.
Yeah, but if you're almost to second, they can look over and go, oh, that guy rounding the bases is the one that hit the home run. Then you get to home plate and wave to your fans and
Too
everything.
long to go without beer.
You out of all people, Dylan, that want
What's the first
accolades, Sterling is the one being fine if somebody doesn't know that he's the one that hit the home run.
Yeah, you know why? Because what's the first word in beer league softball?
Beer?
Beer. That's the most important thing. That comes first.
What if I tell you this?
The league comes second.
What if I tell you
softball
this?
Softball third.
You hit the ball. First base coach has a beer in hand to where they can hand it to you, and you can drink it while rounding the bases.
Okay, well,
in
now
beer league softball.
I'm back in.
Okay.
Now I'm back in. If that's the case, I'm back in.
But don't you need a guy at third holding the beer so that you have the incentive to go to second and third? Because if he just has to go to first, then he just gets the beer at
I need
first.
first and third, Dylan.
That's what I'm saying.
First and third.
Exactly.
You get one at first base, and then you got to drink it. It's a competition now. If you can chug it, but the time you get to third base,
you got to drink your beer for it to count.
It's like the Bobby Witt Jr., first to third, like he's the fastest in baseball. Who's the fastest first to third beer drinking?
I haven't brushed up on the rule book, but I can imagine that this is not allowed.
No, because you can't even have seeds out there anymore because of the damn turf.
Because of the turf. That's
Gosh,
nice,
bring back dirt.
No, do not bring back
You've
dirt.
rubbed some dirt on it, okay?
Rub some of those rubber pellets on it and get out there, son. Go rub some rubber pellets on it. All right, we'll take it. 14 minutes to find out that thing was not reviewable. Unbelievable, dude. It just took so long. And, by the way, it was great drama because everybody was sitting on edge. Like, is your season going to be over because you didn't touch home plate? And she did not touch home plate, but their season was over because in the ninth.
How do you miss home plate if you're trying to do the stomp? That's actually impressive. That's bad depth perception or something.
She wasn't looking. She was stomping, and then she was looking there, and I have no idea how you do that.
How can you hit a baseball and bad dancer, apparently? Could not tango.
We had a straight steal of home with Texas Tech in the game earlier, and then a girl missing home plate on a home run and a replay that said it's not reviewable because somebody pulled her back to touch home plate. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Country Club. It is supporting Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. Fantastic cause. News of the day that we've been discussing, and that is Jack Caglione being called up, promoted by the Kansas City Royals. We're all jacked up about it. We're all pumped, excited. Hit the jackpot. The Lumberjack's going to be making his – that's right. Lumberjack's going to be making his debut tomorrow in St. Louis. My bad, dude.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew, man.
What's up, dude? We got a kid over here. A great Kansas City hat.
Yeah, nice. Love it, man. So we'll talk with Trent Green at some point here in a little bit, I think, that we'll have a conversation with the man whose name is on this golf classic. How about that? It's named – is it named after him, or is he named after this?
Total coincidence.
We'll have to find out next. we get to hang out here at Oakwood Country Club for the Trent Green Golf Classic, and each and every year that he puts this thing on, and it goes to help the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, where they are keeping families close to their sick children while they get care and the supportive services that they need. And so we certainly appreciate being out here each and every year and helping support this great cause. And the man who, now we were wondering, Trent, is the golf classic named after you, or were you named after the golf classic? Where your parents are like, you know what, I love that Trent Green Golf Classic, so let's name him.
I said coincidence.
We heard you, man. We heard you. Now you're turning off every
Now you're turning me? Okay. Now, yes, you can.
Sorry.
I think they did that on purpose.
No.
They cut my mic. They said, Trent's coming. We're going to cut Trent's mic so he does not make a food
But your mic was on. That's the thing that's so crazy
exactly.
about it. Yes.
But not in your ears. Yes.
Apparently.
Technology. That's live radio. That's what,
No doubt
just
about
go
that.
with it.
Yeah. How are you doing in the tee-offs today? Are you helping out some of the groups?
So here's the thing. We had an adjustment this year. So,
Okay.
in previous years, I always sat on a par 3 and would do a shot with everybody. Not an alcohol shot, but a shot to get to the green. And,
Whichever.
And the hole that I was on was the Super Bowl hole. So we had a Super Bowl package. Anybody gets a hole-in-one, you get 2 airline tickets, hotel tickets to the Super Bowl. That is still the case on that hole.
Okay.
They just came to me and said, hey, do you want to sit on that hole, or would you rather sit on 18 and putt with everybody and you'd be closer to the clubhouse and not off in the woods somewhere. So I took that.
Okay.
I took that, yes. So I plan on feeling a whole lot better tomorrow after putting 50 times as opposed to, trying to finagle a 185 shot in there for a hole-in-one.
How were you rolling them?
I was going to say, did you help any of the groups out?
No, I did. I definitely did. And because it's my tournament, I can kind of make the rules a little bit. So it's a par 4, 18 is, and I set up it's probably, I don't know, probably 25, 30 feet for an eagle. And so not very often do you get an opportunity to putt for an eagle. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to make it – I don't want to make it like a 10-foot eagle putt. That would, So I'm like, we're all going to get a chance at eagle, and no matter what, you're going to get a birdie. So it's, so everybody's happy either way.
Did you eagle any?
I did.
Nice.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Barely.
Okay.
It was, so I went out this morning, and I was like, okay, I want to make it hard, so I put from a distance standpoint. But I also want opportunities for people to make it. So I was like, it would be uphill, a little bit right to left, right? That's just kind of everybody's wheelhouse. A lot of right-handed golfers here, uphill, right to left.
As a lefty, I'm not a fan. But
right,
yes.
right. So I'm thinking that's an easy putt. I got through about 4 hours, and we had burned the edges, we had lipped it out, we had whatever, as close as you could possibly get, and nobody had made it. And I finally made it with 3 groups to go.
Oh, wow, nice.
And then somebody in the final group made it in the very last group of the day. So we had 2 of them this morning. So
I guess it feels better going out with 2 of the last 3 as opposed to you starting off with 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we are hot.
We are hot.
Never
Let's
making
go.
another one the rest of the time.
It's one of those things. Obviously, in all golf terms, right? The line, the speed, all how much it breaks, all that stuff. So. But what a beautiful day, and what a great job Oakwood has done once again. And thank you guys for being out here supporting this as always. You guys are out here, helping support this cause, and it's a great cause. Over 4,000 families are served by Ronald McDonald House Charities. They had to turn some away this year, so the vote went through and passed. So they're going to get an opportunity to expand one of the houses. There are 3 houses on the campus. There's actually technically considered a 4th house in Children's Mercy Hospital because they were able to remodel it and add more rooms. So it continues to grow. There continues to be a need for families, and that's why we continue to do the tournament. Just because the amount of money it raises. And just like that, Q39 on spot, bringing over some burn-ins.
Oh, my goodness, dude. That is going to hit the spot
Q39
right there.
is unstoppable, and look at that play.
I had to I was lamenting while enjoying at the same time some brisket and some pulled pork, but I had to do it in a break.
Yes.
So I'm like eating, and I'm like, I'm not doing this justice.
I so bad want to grab one of those right now.
Do it.
But no, it's live, and so I get
what we
it.
do is he'll ask a question.
Yeah.
We'll have enough
then
time to get through 1 or 2.
You'll eat while I'm answering.
Yes, it's the move.
I'll ask the question, you enjoy some burn-ins, and then you answer, and I'll enjoy some burn-ins.
It's teamwork.
It's back and forth.
It's football, baby. That's teamwork.
Speaking of that, How long has it been? When you guys teamed up with Ronald McDonald House? Like you and your wife, was it back when you were with the Chiefs still playing?
So we teamed up with Ronald McDonald House. I'm so old. We teamed up with him back in 1995.
Okay.
When I was with the Washington then Redskins. Yeah. And they used to do this big fundraiser called Rally Around the Redskins. And it was a black tie, like a catwalk kind of thing. You dress, it was a dress-up thing, like a fashion show.
Yeah.
And so my wife, being a young player, she was on that committee. And so we just started going to Ronald McDonald House in D.C. And like, wow, this charity is great. And look at the families they support. And, it just takes a lot of weight off of families' shoulders when they're dealing with other stuff with their sick kids, being able to have a place to stay and food to eat and not have to worry about that part of the burden. So we've been involved with them since mid-'90s. And then when we got to Kansas City, we immediately joined up with them because it was important to us. So we've been working with them for a long time. And then, my tournament originally, when you guys were supporting it back then, I divided all my stuff between Children's Mercy, Ronald McDonald House, the YMCA, and then Phoenix Family. My wife and I started some reading labs with Phoenix Family for underserved communities, and those reading labs are still open and still running and doing well. So that was what happened. Well, for me, when I retired, Nike didn't want to continue sponsoring me. What?
Why?
What? You don't want to continue sponsoring a broadcaster? Come on. Do you guys, what are your endorsement deals? Do you have a Nike deal? You have an Adidas deal? What?
We're in negotiations.
You're in negotiations.
Jordan.
So, yeah.
It's Jordan
So I'm still – Jordan, right, except you buy them. Right.
Reebok, man.
So I got done, and what I had done is throughout my career had built up enough of, I guess – attention that my contract got bigger and bigger with Nike. And so what I eventually did is we came to an agreement to split that contract. And so my contract, I would use half of that contract to support the whole golf tournament. So everybody got Nike stuff, got Nike clubs, got Nike. I mean, it was the Nike'd out, tournament. And then when I stopped, obviously that all kind of stopped. So I was like, okay, what can we do? And who do we? And Ronald McDonald House had said, we've had our own tournament for a long, but we're looking to kind of mix things up, change things up. And so this is our 16th year partnered together for the golf tournament. And we've had incredible success. It's been a number of different courses. We've moved around. We've been at Oakwood now. This is our third year.
Okay.
And it's been outstanding. It was a great move for us, great move for them. They're building what Ken Block has done out here with the course and the clubhouse and what he's added and expanded. It's been great for us because now they've opened the par 3. They have a 9-hole par 3 back here. Last year we had the pickleball tournament, and that went great. But now with the par 3 open, we have almost like a mini kind of event over there. That if you only have, some people don't have 5-6 hours to do the morning round or the afternoon round. That you can do in an hour and a half or whatever, and still enjoy Q39 and still support an incredible cause. So it's just another opportunity in another way, and Oakwood's been very, very supportive.
How did the pickleball tournament go? Because I remember talking with you last year, and it was like your wife involved
Yes.
and wanting to do the pickleball thing. And
Yes.
How did that turn out?
It turned out great.
Okay.
The first year we had the pickleball, it rained. And so golf, you can continue to play in the rain. Pickleball with the court, somebody's going to get hurt. So we had to cut it short. So that wasn't good. So the second year last year, they were able to get through it. Very competitive. There was a competitive division and a kind of a novice division. And everybody had fun. There's a lot of people that were disappointed we didn't bring it back. The problem – it's a great problem to have. Is there's only so much parking. There's only so much, And when they finished the par 3 and there was an opportunity there, we had to jump on that, and so that meant we had to eliminate something. So, unfortunately, there were a lot of people that were upset because they wanted to continue the pickleball, and we're like, hey, there's only so because one year we did before they got done with the parking lot and stuff. We had to shuttle people in. You're like parking off-site, like over.
That's really off-site
yes,
then from
yes.
here.
Yeah, it was more over by the old Cerner campus. There was like parking over there, and then there'd be shuttle buses. Oh, it was
wow.
So we now understand there's a certain limit to as much as we hey, let's have a let's have a chipping contest over there. Let's do pickleball over there. Let's do part 3. I mean, there's so much stuff out here, right? Let's have a swimming
diving
contest. We can do a
here.
diving contest, swim competition. You get there's so much. We can do the fishing, right? The pond in the back. You got to have a fishing contest. I mean, it's but we do realize from a parking standpoint that. We learned our lesson with that.
You're just parking spaces away from being able to do all that.
I know.
That's what it is. The support's going to be there. It's just being able to park.
It's like building a stadium downtown, right? You got to have parking garages, right? You got to have a place for people to park.
Or building a dome out in Kansas. You're going to have plenty of spaces at that point.
You can't streetcar everywhere,
That's
right?
true.
You got to have,
If it's OP, I'm riding my bike. Okay, I've already said if it's OP, I'm riding my bike.
Well, they already, talking about the Sprint campus and all that stuff. That's not far from where we live. It's only a couple miles. So everybody's giving me a hard time. They're like, "Oh, you don't want that. You don't want that." I go, "You kidding me? I'll just walk home after the game." I go, "That'll be the best thing ever." I
looked it up.
Park at the station.
1.4 miles from my house.
Is it really?
That's what it'd be. I'm like, come on now.
I'm like, yeah, 100%.
It's gonna suck for everyone else, but
sitting in traffic, I'll just walk home. Hit, there's a few restaurants along the way. Hit on the way back. This is
like a little tour home.
So
just from bar to bar to bar.
That's it. We're so yes, you and I are on the same page.
We'll
like bring it. Let's go. Bring it.
Do you find yourself on one side or the other of the topic, and quite literally state line when it comes to the Chiefs of renovating and keeping Arrowhead, or the possibility of a dome with a retractable roof and maybe a Super Bowl and some of the other things that that bring?
So I don't. I grew up in St. Louis, obviously in Missouri. I saw the Cardinals leave and go to Arizona. I saw that there was no football. Then the Rams come to town. Now the Rams have left. I've been there to see what that does to a community and what that does to a state and what that does to people. But the thing that's different here, it wasn't like the Cardinals were leaving to go over to Collinsville, jump the river, and they weren't going Edwardsville or something. They were going out to Arizona. So the difference here is I just look at Kansas City as Kansas City. Yeah. And I know there's a big political divide, and obviously both sides of the state line, there's tax and I understand all that. I get it. I'm not naive to it. I think that's one of the great things about this city is Kansas City's Kansas City. And there are certain people, and I understand the political part and like I said, the financial part as well. But I just think Kansas City's so supportive of, like, today, look at all these people. We got 2 full packed houses of golfers, right? We have 7:30 tee time, 1:30 tee time. I don't go around saying, "Hey, which side of the state line do you live on?" Right? Are you in Kansas City? Yeah, I'm in Kansas City. Are you?
Right.
Yeah. So it's I just want whatever is in the best interest of helping these organizations battle all the other organizations around the country and battle the other. What the other cities are doing to keep us competitive, to keep the competitive edge, to bring an all-star game like after the renovation the last time, right? My family loved going to the all-star game and the home run derby and doing all of that, and we love going out to the K. Arrowhead, obviously, I have pictures of it all over my house, right? Why wouldn't I? It's but I also understand financially to be competitive with the other teams in the league, and you see the contracts now for the baseball players, for the football players, for everybody. From that standpoint, as the TV money keeps going up, those salaries are going to continue to going up, and so I get it. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure both teams stay, and that's not even part of the equation. I think it's foregone conclusion that nobody's leaving, even though that was the whole reason T-Mobile/Sprint Center was built, was because you're trying to remember the Penguins? Wasn't that the big
Coyotes.
thing? Was it the Coyotes?
Yeah, in Phoenix.
It was like we're trying to bring this hockey team here,
and then Garth Brooks.
Yes.
I always say if it wasn't for Garth Brooks,
what was it? How many 16 nights, 14 nights, something crazy
insane.
like that in a row?
Yeah. I'm being slightly facetious, but I was going, damn, that Garth Brooks kept us from the Thunder.
Right.
Exactly what it was. Yes.
I love Garth Brooks.
And the Thunder rolls. and the Thunder rolls.
Trent Green is our guest, the Trent Green Golf Classic, where we are hanging out at. With your job in the NFL and the broadcasting part of it, it's every single year when a quarterback signs a contract, we look at how it relates locally, and we're like, man, is Is that the greatest contract that anybody has signed for a guy who's the best in the league and 3 Super Bowls already in Patrick Mahomes? Like, each quarterback that signs, it's like, well, now he's the 14th highest paid in annual average value each and every year. And certainly there are different things with the guaranteed mechanisms that go along with it.
There's so many different ways you can structure it.
But every year somebody signs, it's like, what an incredible value that the Chiefs have with Patrick Mahomes. And two sides to that, certainly with the Chiefs coming up with those ideas, with Patrick Mahomes being willing to sign that contract for 10 years, knowing that 5 years from now it's going to be a bargain for the other team, for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, and I think what he said, and I don't want to put words in his mouth if he hasn't said it, but I think what he probably, his understanding is seeing what Brady did, right? I mean, for years everybody's like, why is Brady not the highest paid? I mean, it's and he wasn't. And didn't care to be. He's like, just put me in the top 5, put me in the top 10, whatever. Just surround me with talent and get it done. And that's what they did continually, and that's what the Chiefs are doing. Now, the benefit that Patrick has is his off-the-field endeavors.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of money he's making from commercials and all the different commercials and the investments and those kinds of things. So, but that doesn't take away, like, his main job is football, so you want to get paid. But I think he understands like I said, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he's completely comfortable making what he's making, and as long as they continue to build around him and they have a chance to win every year and they have a chance to get another ring and do the things that he wants to get done and this organization wants to get done, you know, completely fine with that. I remember, you know, my different negotiations because I was an 8th rounder and because it took me so long to become a starter. When I finally became a starter and got to those serious negotiations, I would say, well, hey, let's look at the stats of, you know, Peyton Manning and Brady and Carson Palmer and all these guys, and now let's look at their salaries. I'm like, well, you can't, you know, specifically Peyton Manning and Carson Palmer. Now Brady because he was a later pick, but like, oh, you can't compare yourself to Carson Palmer or Peyton Manning because they were first overall picks, so they started at a different point than you. I'm like, that has nothing to do with today. We're talking about, like, you know, so I'm like, and I'm not trying to be the top of the chart. I just want to be in the ballpark, right? It's like,
fairly.
I was like, I understand we're trying to sign. I want you to sign Brian Waters. I want you to extend Will Shields. I want you to keep Willie Rofe. I want you to keep Tony Gonzalez. I mean, I understand all that. So that was really part of the you know, that's just all part of the negotiation. That's everybody's negotiation.
And Trent Green's our guest, and the dynamic part about that makes the NFL different from other sports and maybe specifically baseball, in that in Kansas City, there's Patrick Mahomes, the face of the NFL, the face of the league, Travis Kelce, one of the most popular NFL players on the planet because of Taylor Swift, and they're in Kansas City. And if you look at the off-the-field endorsements, Patrick Mahomes makes the most of any of the NFL players at $28 million per year.
I had no idea what it was. Yeah.
So they just released.
I would have thought it would have been more.
I would have thought it would have been more, but they just released, I think Forbes put out the top 50 richest athletes, and then they put their off-field earnings.
Right.
And if you look at it just from football, there are only 2 other players in the NFL that make $10 million off the field.
Really?
And it's Justin Herbert in L.A. and Dak Prescott in Dallas.
Really?
And then Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And I think that's the difference, sort of NFL versus Major League Baseball. You know, if Bobby Witt were in L.A. or New York, maybe he's in more commercials. You know?
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't matter in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league because he's the best at what he does, and they can win Super Bowls.
Right.
And he's going to get $30 million, almost 3 times as much as the next NFL player in endorsements off the field, and he's here in Kansas City doing it.
Yeah, and that's even more impressive to me. I mean, that's you know, a small market in the middle of the country, but yes, they're on national TV all the time. Yes, there's lots of exposure, but it's because they're winning. If it's not for those rings, if it's not for the consecutive AFC Championship game appearances, if it's not for all the Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl victories, none of that stuff happens. And I remember, you know, in the plane, you know, it's like why isn't Tony Gonzalez getting more attention or Priest Holmes getting more national attention? And it's like, well, you got to win some playoff games and got to go far in the playoffs. And yeah, you guys have a good offense, but nobody around the country, unless you're a fantasy football player, is, you know, it's just it's the reality of it. So by winning, you know, that's a huge part of it. And I think that's another reason, going back to the football salary, as to why he's willing to take a little bit less,
Yeah.
Because if we can make this team good and the guys around me good and we go off and we have success, then we're all gonna make more money away from the field and doing other things. So
Trent Green is our guest. Last one for you as we wrap things up. Like you've been around this game for a long time and now studying it from the broadcasting side. How difficult it is to maintain the success and the turnover in the NFL.
Incredibly difficult.
How long can they ride this thing, do you think, the Chiefs?
There's
7 years that they've been doing this.
It really is unbelievable. And I know people have talked about it before, and they say, just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. It's not as easy as they make it. I mean, you've got to have so many things go your way, from injuries, from salaries, from guys leaving, from just the bounce of a ball. I mean, think about – if D Ford doesn't line up off sides, now it's another Super Bowl, right? It's like if he didn't line the neutral zone and get – I mean, it's like there's so many fine things along the way. I mean, how sick to your stomach is Josh Allen and Gabe Davis after the game they had in the AFC Championship? And what was it, 13 seconds, right?
13 seconds.
It's like – and
Gabe
you're
Davis
over there
and
you're like, man, we finally did it. It's like – and you can't first – it is so fine of a line. And so to answer your question, I think as long as 15's healthy and they keep surrounding him with talent and Andy has the energy to come up and be creative and do what they do, I love what they've done with the offensive line. I like what they did with the defensive line. That clearly, exposed a little bit during the Super Bowl. But I think coming back and getting guys healthy and surrounding them with talent, I've said it before, and I'll say as long as 15's back there, I give him a chance every time.
Yeah. Trent Green, our guest, the Trent Green Golf Classic. It goes to help and support the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, rmhckc.org. Trent, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. We love being out here and supporting, and certainly appreciate you staying in Kansas City after the career was over, putting down roots, and continuing to give back to the community here. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate you guys being out here and helping support this and bring awareness to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City. And, so thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's Trent Green joining us. We'll take a timeout, come back. Learn Funniest Best from the weekend comes up next. Oakwood Country Club. We're here supporting the families at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, rmhckc.org. They keep families close to their sick children while they get the care and supportive services that they need. On any given night, Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City serves 94 families, and since 1981, they have provided comfort and care to more than 107,000 families. They do great work, and back in the mid-'90s is when Trent Green and his wife got teamed up with Ronald McDonald House back when he was in D.C., so and still continuing that connection and that relationship here, some 30 years later.
It's a really cool thing, and it's a great organization. I've done some work with them, actually, when I lived in Philly. When I was with the 76ers, we did some charity work, and we helped out with some Ronald McDonald houses out there, and it's just very rewarding. It's for such a great cause. So, again, every single year, I love the people showing out for this, all the businesses and companies that give back their time and efforts to join in this. It means a lot. It's for such a great cause.
Yep.
Yeah, really cool.
It is cool. There was, we'll get into Learn Funniest Best, and I don't want to steal somebody's best, so we'll just get into Learn Funniest Best, and if it doesn't come up in the best, we'll talk about it there. We go around the, patio here, and then the studio of what we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, and the best from the weekend. What I learned from the weekend, this was fascinating. John Tyler was the 10th president of the United States.
Yeah, the president.
Yep, John Tyler.
Yeah.
He was inaugurated in 1841.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The last living grandchild of John Tyler died on Friday.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know he died, but I remember the
last
story that he had a grandson alive.
Living grandson of the 10th president of the United States. He was born in 1790. He was born in 1790. That spans 235 years of grandfather to grandson being born and then
when
dying.
He was like 75, right?
So his last son was born in 1863. John Tyler was 63 years old. That son had a son in 1928 when he was 75 years old.
There's a 75.
And then that guy lives to be 98 years old. So, 235 years, John Tyler, the 10th president of the United States, inaugurated in 1841. The last living grandchild had passed away. Harrison Ruffin Tyler.
I mean, that name even sounds like it's from the 1700s.
Yeah.
Ruffin.
Harrison Ruffin Tyler. Who was your grandfather? Who's your grandfather?
Edward?
John Tyler, the 10th president. Okay.
Yes. Like, what are you?
Yeah, sure.
Is that your party trick?
Yeah. No, John Tyler, the 10th president.
I bet you know my grandpa. Yeah, I'm sure I do, guy.
Yeah. When was your grandpa born? 1790. Okay, fella. Yeah. No, when was your grandpa really born? No, 1790. He was born before the 1800s, man. Was my grandpa. I just could not believe that. 235 years of a grandpa to a grandson being born and passing away. Sterling, what'd you learn?
I learned that Travis Kelce loves 810.
Fantastic.
Travis Kelce loves Sports Radio 810. Was hanging out with him at Big Slick. Fun. And told him that I worked for 810. And I was a little nervous at first because I'm like, are they going to – well, no, I was like, it's Travis and Jace. And they'd be like, oh, media, of course. What are they doing here? And so, like, dude, I love 810. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so – Travis Kelce, big 810 supporter. I thought that was really neat.
That works. I like learning that too.
Yeah, I was like, that's my best learn.
Need to get him on in Tahoe. That's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Learn that I need to tell him, hey, 810, let's talk to you and Jason and Kylie all together. That'd be great. Dylan, what'd you learn from the weekend?
So I learned with the Stanley Cup Finals starting Wednesday, believe it or not, Jaromir Jagr has had a teammate participate in the last 45 Stanley Cup Finals, starting in 1980, and this year capping it off with Alexander Barkov for the third straight season of the Florida Panthers. So for the last 45 Stanley Cup Finals, starting in 1980, there has been a teammate of Jaromir Jagr participating in the finals. And it's still going strong.
And one of his teammates was the grandson of John Tyler.
I was about to say it was actually John Tyler.
Well done.
John Tyler.
Well done.
It's Harrison Ruffin Tyler. The grandson of
Very
John
well
Tyler.
done.
Dude, that's nuts. 45.
45. I couldn't even
45
believe it, especially with the most
Jagr.
recent ones. I mean, obviously Barkov, 3 in a row, keeps it going.
Yeah.
But he had Mark Messier at the beginning of it. I mean, there's just It's ridiculous. Not once, though,
That's
it looks
nuts.
like, was it the great one. So no Wayne Gretzky on here.
Oh, I
Only
see.
Mark Messier.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah.
All right, funniest from the weekend. Sterling, let's start with you on the funniest from the weekend.
I have two quick ones. Fortune
Okay.
Feimster, the comedian, was there, and she was telling jokes about Greece. And George Karlaftis was sitting front row,
Oh, nice.
right there. And I told her afterwards, I was like, Fortune, you had no idea this, but the guy that you're making the country some jokes about was sitting front row from Greece. I thought that was just absolutely hilarious. And then, two, they were doing these donations for signed Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce footballs. So what they would do is Patrick would throw the football to Travis in the crowd, and then he would hand it to whoever won said ball. And they were having people snap it. And Jason Kelce was there.
Makes sense.
So,
He's a center.
So they're going to say, who's going to snap this football? First person. All right, Jason, let's come on down here. Watch Eric Stone Street snap this football. And they're like, all right. Second one, all right. Enough messing around. Jason, come on down. Sam Levine, come on and snap this football. Which, if you don't know Sam Levine, he's a actor. He's about 5'4".
Yeah, he looks up to Tom Cruise, I think.
He looks up to Tom Cruise. And he ended up snapping it to Patrick. And then finally they had Jason Kelce snap it, and instead of snapping back to Mahomes, he goes, screw that, he takes it, then he's the one that throws it to Jason. Missed Jason by a little bit. Travis by a little bit. But the ball got there eventually to the right intended person. So I just thought that was very, very funny. And Sudeikis kept yelling at his mic, tush push. Anytime they were snapping the ball,
he did.
Tush push.
Of course he did. Dylan, funniest from the weekend for you?
I cannot pick one because that would just be a disservice, but all the NBA on TNT clips that are coming out because someone just posted to please quote this tweet with your favorite one. It's got about 5 million views to this point, and if you want to just scroll through that and relive all the best memories, there's some that aren't even on YouTube because I've been seeing some of those on YouTube on my feed and watching them because we don't, we still have the show, but it'll be interesting to see what it looks like on a new network. So if you do miss the freedom, I think that NBA TNT was allowing them that ESPN won't, this is a good tweet to go and relive some of the best memories. I mean, the street meet, the bracelet in the sauna, all the best ones. I mean, we all know
it goes 1, 2, 3, Chuck.
Yes,
not
that
1, 2, 1.
Those are some of the ones I haven't seen before, believe it or not, and that one is hilarious. I mean, that's all time.
What about Shaq trying to explain to Kenny that because Kenny
gas.
Smith's like, no, if I get that car, then it's going to be too much money to fill it up. And Shaq's like, well, if you fill it up at a half a tank, it's going to save you half the money. Kenny Smith's like, well, no, but I'm still filling it up twice as much. But it's still going to be Kenny, you don't get it. You don't get it. I'm talking about you don't wait till it's on empty. When it gets to half a tank, then you fill it up. Kenny's like, yes, I get it. But when I do that twice, it's still the same as the. No, Kenny, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you'll be saving money.
Like Ernie has complete control of that show, and sometimes him just letting it go like that and just letting it breathe is some of the best work. So. It's
and just letting Shaq continue to say something completely wrong and just like, no, keep going.
I just love when he instigates with Chuck with New York or Galveston or San Antonio.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, what else, Chuck?
Oh, okay.
Hey, what else, Chuck?
All right, the funniest for me from the weekend, Jeff Passan had his tweet last night about Jack Caglione. And then, he had some other ones. So early in the day, Jeff Passan tweets out, the Rockies are now 9-50. Barry, one of the popular Twitter accounts, Barry on here, at Barry on here, replies to Jeff Passan.
Barry McWhat?
It's Barry on here.
We all know.
All it is. It's changed that. Says he replies to Jeff Passan and says, Jeff, my wife won't talk to me anymore, and I think she's having an affair. What should I do? Jeff Passan replied and said, she says hi. Jeff
Passan nuke.
Dude, that was
man,
that was a assassination, assassination.
Well done. That's well done.
That was very good.
You might need to trademark
assassination.
That. You might need to trademark that.
Dude, it was just. Oh man,
it
was a
let
sniper.
You have that one. I won't take that one if you let me have.
I will not let you have lumberjack. Lumberjack is mine.
I don't know.
Nope, the lumberjack is going to be making his debut in St. Louis because we're all jacked up, and the Royals hopefully have hit the jackpot.
You're just gonna steal all the jacks.
Yeah, I don't care about the queens and the kings. Give me the jacks. All right? Jacks are wild. All right, let's go to the best. We start with you, Dylan. Best from the weekend.
Best from me, the Rams punter last season went viral for his back squat ability. He did 705 pounds this season. So the Rams punter can back squat 705, if that makes anyone feel great about their abilities at the weight room. So there you go.
I haven't back squatted in a while, so I don't know what mine would be. And by a while, I mean I've never done it one time.
What about your shoulders?
Yeah. No, why would you do that? Just back squat.
There you go.
Squat that back. My best from the weekend is the Champions League final with Luis Enrique, the coach, and the story about he and his daughter and the tribute that they paid. She passed away from bone cancer in 2019 at 9 years old, and he's continued to celebrate her. And he was wearing a shirt post game, and the supporters had a huge. They what are those things called that in the crowd they unravel them, and it's like a flag, but it takes up like half the crowd, and there's like pictures and stuff on it. I can't. It's this thing right here, Sterling. If you know what I'm talking about, whatever that thing is.
Oh yeah, it's like a flag.
It's like a flag, but it goes over a big portion of the crowd, and that was a huge picture of he and his daughter. Wow. And it was just really cool, and they win the Champions League, and the whole story about it, and him talking about how. She's alive. She's with us every day. That every single day that she's with us, she's alive. She's alive in the memories of what we talk about her, when we share the memories and everything. She's still with us at all times. And, he told the story about his mother, so her grandmother, took down all the pictures in her house of her because she couldn't stand it. And he was like, no, you don't understand. She's alive with the pictures. You have to talk about her. We have to have the memories. We have to continue to see her because she's with us when we do that. It was just an amazing story, and for that club to win the Champions League and that trophy that he just hadn't had. And as he said, I didn't need the Champions League trophy, to do anything amazing. This is, with his daughter and everything. It was a really cool moment. What was the best for you, Sterling?
Yeah, this one might be a little tough too. It was Big Slick, but it was all the parts that matter the most for Children's Mercy. They had one of the families, and every year they bring out a family, and typically someone who's there at Children's Mercy. They'll go on stage, and we talk about their success. We talk about how people's generosity helped them overcome. And that was supposed to be the case this year, and they found out that the cancer returned for this kid, and he passed away about a couple weeks before. And before he passed away, he donated his life savings, the kid, $1,800 in his life savings. And it was just very impactful. We did a fund in need, and wow. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were giving away. If a kid gave away his life savings to try and help a better future and make kids not go through this.
Well,
could you? $4.5 million was raised.
Oh my God!
So, out of something horrific, out of a tragedy, you see some goodness, and so I just thought $4.5 million raised from the local KC community, people that everyone might know.
Yeah,
your friends, family, everyone. It was just. It was amazing. Yeah. So, Big Slick, $4.5 million raised for Children's Mercy and cancer research for kids.
Yeah.
And it was
from just a tough story about that. That's a kid that was going to be celebrated on stage, and a couple of weeks before it gets there, ends up passing away. But that's why everybody's out there. Yeah. That's why Big Slick happens. That's why Trent Green is having this golf classic today for Ronald McDonald Charities, Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, to help families that are going through that when their child is battling something, so that they have the resources and the support to do that. And obviously Children's Mercy, just an institution here in Kansas City. So a big reason why Big Slick is such a big deal. We look
very
at the
lucky to
celebrities
have
and
that
everything
hospital
in town.
here. Very lucky to have that hospital
yes.
here.
Yeah, my sister spent a lot of days at Children's Mercy Hospital. My mom spent a lot of days at Children's Mercy Hospital as well, with my sister when she was sick. So it's a fantastic place, and we love the celebrities in town, for Big Slick, and it's really cool to see all of them. But there's a big reason why they're here, and there's a big reason, quite frankly, why they continue to agree to come back each and every year, because of the impact it makes when they're there at that event on Saturday night. That wait, this isn't just a fun softball weekend that I'm hanging out with Paul Rudd and Sudeikis and Stone Street and Heidi and Riggle and some of these other people that are there. This is a bigger deal that's going to a great cause. So very cool. Definitely the best from the weekend. Yeah. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling, wrap up the show coming up next. Hey, big shout out to Trent Green, the Golf Classic, and what he's done with Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, and the work that he's put in, he and his family and his wife, and what they've done going back to 1995 in their relationship with Ronald McDonald House Charities. And Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, that is the beneficiary of the Trent Green Golf Classic that they have every year. Third year that it is out here at Oakwood Country Club. And a fantastic spot. We've enjoyed some brisket, some pulled pork, some burn-ins from Q39. More than enjoyed it, savored it, inhaled a little bit of it, and then got a chance to savor it. It's easier to savor the burn-ins at a break because, just the bite-sized meat candy that it is, as opposed to like scooping in like, beans and things like that. So it's much easier to do that. But certainly we appreciate being out here and enjoying what is a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and the money being raised going to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City, rmhckc.org. The name of that banner that's unveiled that they have at different soccer matches and different events, it's called a TIFO. So thank you to one of the callers that called in, called a TIFO. That's the banner that they unravel or whatever in the stands, and they did that with Luis Enrique's a big memorial for his daughter. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome, man. Caller John, thank you, John.
I always just think anytime I hear soccer, I'm not thinking vuvuzela.
Yeah, it's not a vuvuzela. It wasn't just a bunch of vuvuzelas presented in a way that represented a picture.
I feel like what was that? Like the 2012 World Cup, where I feel like everyone was like. It's just everyone in the history of the world just owned vuvuzelas. Why can't America have? What if America just came up with recorders? Like, well, let's Americanize this.
But you know what America no longer has? Thank God, the stupid whistler in Vanderbilt. We no longer have to listen to the damn whistler in Vanderbilt, so there's no extra games. There's no super regional down in Vandy at Nashville. That's what you get for being the most annoying person at a baseball game. The dude whistles loud as hell every single pitch, and Vandy and that university and those fans, they celebrate it. All right? They enabled this man. You understand? But he's gone. Vandy's gone.
Who do you blame, him or the enablers?
Yes. That's what I blame. Thank you, Trent Green, the Golf Classic, Oakwoods, and Ronald McDonald House Charities of Kansas City.